Pokémon. Starting with Greninja, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 325, Lucario's defeat. Lucario, capture the king first. Attack the strongest Nidoking. It is well known that Sirona is a combat genius in the entire elf world, except for the legendary man, Red. For the other characters, wanting to compete with Sirona is simply wishful thinking and absolute dreaming. They are not worthy. Watching Sirona confidently and unrestrainedly commanding, Zumu only had one feeling, that is, pleasing to the eye. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also strong. This is definitely the template of the best girlfriend. Stop Lucario. The shield group collectively defends and uses road blocking skills. The dog group waits for the opportunity and is ready to attack at any time. The eagle group and the rest of the elves use long-range attacks to harass. Don't let Lucario have a second of comfort. Seeing that his Nidoking was about to be hit by Lucario's wave missile, Li Hong didn't even ask a question, but continued to command the entire army. As for Nidoking, although he did not receive Li Hong's instructions, he was not hit by the wave missile attack. Just when the wave missile with bright blue halo was about to touch Nidoking, a big steel snake suddenly jumped out from the ground. Use protection to block it. Then, the flying Pokémon in the air and the special attack Pokémon in the back row used various long-range skills. 100,000 volts, freezing beam, jet flame, water gun, water cannon, water wave, high-speed star, telekinesis. A series of skills followed one after another. Although the power was not strong, it would still hurt if it hit the body. Lucario was tired of dodging, and was annoyed and irritable, frowning. And the attacks from the instructors were more than that. The activation of road blocking skills, rock closure, rock collapse, hardened plants, grass knot ropes, etc. also kept interrupting Lucario's rhythm. Finally, there were the Pokémon of the dog group. A wind speed dog suddenly appeared from behind Lucario with super speed, and opened its mouth to shoot a jet of flame. Lucario twisted his waist to avoid it at the critical moment, but was hit by a Magra using Ice Fang. Then came Pikachu's Iron Tail, Mongoose's Tile Split. In the end, even the extremely powerful Lucario had to use his speed to avoid these attacks. This won't work. No matter how strong he is just a Pokémon. If he continues to be dragged like this, Lucario can clearly feel that he will be dragged to death. Similarly, Sirona's face was serious at this time, thinking hard about how to break the situation as if facing a great enemy. Lucario, Mega Evolve. After a brief consideration, Sirona decided to use brute force. Strength can defeat skill. After Lucario Mega Evolves, his strength can almost reach the early stage of the Master. This kind of strength, in front of the Pokémons of the 31 instructors, is an absolute crushing, like cutting melons and vegetables. After Lucario completed the evolution, the white halo on his body gradually disappeared, revealing his fox-like elite eyes, staring at the Pokémons in front of him like the most experienced hunter. Now, Lucario is extremely confident. Let's not talk about anything else, just fighting. Lucario dares to say this. Everyone here, none of them can fight. They are all younger brothers. Stepping forward, Lucario was not polite, and rushed straight to Nidoking at a lightning speed. According to Sirona's instructions, Lucario almost instantly knocked Nidoking away. With a lightning speed and a flying knee kick, Nidoking died directly. There is nothing to say, it's just pure strength crushing. Li Hong was very calm. Seeing Lucario defeat Nidoking, his face was calm, and he still commanded loudly, "Don't stop attacking and interfering. Yes, just keep it like this." Next, no matter who Lucario attacks, use protection directly, and resist as much as you can, understand? Following Li Hong's roar, the instructors responded in unison, "Yes." There is not much to say. The matter is obvious here. We just rely on the number of people to drag you to death. Lucario, aren't you powerful? Aren't you in the early stage of Master? Yes, it's alright, no problem. It doesn't matter whether you are strong or not. unless you can use the speed more than 100 times in a row. Otherwise, don't think about getting rid of the interference of these long-range attacks and blocking skills. This set of tactics was not invented by Li Hong. Such an excellent and somewhat rogue tactic is specifically aimed at the opponent's strong, using the weak to defeat the strong, and the majority to defeat the minority. Naturally, it is the work of one of Zumu's elders, Zhao Tanyang. Yes, this roguelike fighting style is the work of Zhao Tanyang. In the past, the trainers of the post-elf civilization basically did not have elves above the master level, but when facing the Lord Elves in the Secret Realm, or those mythical beasts, and the Rocket Team strongmen on the border, you can't just pile up human lives, right? So, under various backgrounds, Zhao Tanyang invented such a tactic. That is to harass and contain the opponent, and drag the opponent to death, as long as it is not a behemoth with almost unlimited physical strength like the infantile Rayquaza. Basically, this move is invincible, and it can minimize casualties and improve efficiency. Lucario, Sharona exclaimed. Lucario was unaware and was attacked from behind by a Quasi-King late-stage crocodile. The crocodile bit Lucario's shoulder with its ice teeth. Then it would rather die than let go. Taking advantage of this critical moment, a flaming horse was not polite and rushed up directly with a gunpowder charge. Regardless of whether it would accidentally hurt the crocodile, the flaming horse used all its strength in this attack. Moreover, in order to get close to Lucario, he had to withstand several electric shocks before he could hit him. This is a battle, a real battlefield fight. It is very different from fighting against normal elves. A powerful energy wave burst out, and Lucario's muscles were tense, mobilizing the power of the wave to the extreme. Boom! With a loud bang, Lucario blew away all the flaming horses and crocodile that were attached to him. Looking forward with red eyes, going wild. After being tortured for so long, Lucario's mentality was completely unbearable. There are too many of these elves, and they are so annoying. They don't care about the damage at all in order to attack me. If they continue to fight like this, Lucario will be either dragged to death or angry to death. In this case, Lucario is also ruthless. Going rampage is the end, defeating one by one. But it is this immature little decision that makes Lucario completely lose the hope of a comeback. Soon, under Li Hong's precise command, the elves each performed their duties. After Lucario was hit by a big word explosion, he finally fell to the ground. Chapter 326. The eve of the freshman competition. Do you understand now? Zumu waited for Sharona to take back Lucario, then looked at the students below and asked seriously, We. The students murmured and lowered their heads. No one dared to look Zumu in the eye. Even Sharona was silent at this moment. She guessed that she might lose, but she didn't expect to lose so thoroughly. From the beginning to the end, she and Lucario were completely led by Li Hong in this battle. There was almost no hope of winning. This feeling was very uncomfortable. You had too many people before, but you were weak. You never won against 3,000 of them. At that time, you were still comforting yourself. Yes, you were still young, all newcomers, and your elves were indeed not as strong as the instructors. But, didn't you reflect on yourself? There were 3,000 people, but you were a mess, fighting without any rules. Isn't it embarrassing to be beaten by 31 people and not even recognize your mother? What's the matter? You are too embarrassed to talk? Are you not making excuses now? Have you seen clearly how strong Lucario is in Sharona? One fought against these more than 100 elves whose strength was not as strong as the king, and the result. Did you see it? Do you know where the gap is? Liu Xiao listened most seriously. After he met Zumu, his life was prosperous. Because of Zumu's care and the dividends brought by Zumu's awesomeness, the Liu family transformed into a top family in just a few months. However, as the family's strength grew, Liu Xiao's status was significantly improved. All kinds of rare elves and resources that were previously unthinkable are now at Liu Xiao's disposal. But has he really grown up? Has the experience during this period really made Liu Xiao undergo a complete transformation? It seems not. Liu Xiao lowered his head in frustration and said nothing. He did not blame himself for his lack of strength. This little fat man is basically a model of lack of ambition. and he has never thought about becoming a top powerhouse. Even according to Liu Xiao's concept, becoming a strong man is the biggest bad luck. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Others do not know how much pressure Zumu is under in this situation now, but Liu Xiao can still not know it. Therefore, Liu Xiao's mentality is actually very simple, that is, he wants to lie down, be an honest behind-the-scenes boss, or a top rich man. In this way, you don't have to go to the battlefield, and you can save your life. This is Liu Xiao's idea, and he has been working hard for it. This time when he came to the Magic City Academy to study, the most real idea in Liu Xiao's heart was not to learn anything or become so strong. He just wanted to practice his abilities, learn how to deal with people, the ways of the world, and how to become a leader. Just now, when the students were competing with the instructors, Liu Xiao tried his best. He attracted many good students in this class, but the result was not ideal, because Liu Xiao had never officially proved his strength. Many students were unwilling to bet on him, a little fat man. They were not willing to obey Liu Xiao's command. Human Resource Management is a course, and this course talks about the ways of the world and moral ethics. From an academic point of view, this is a course, but from a real-life point of view, this is what people should learn and always learn throughout their lives. At this point, everyone can understand why Liu Xiao is uncomfortable. He is reflecting on himself, not on the mistakes in command in the battle. Instead, he is reflecting on why he did not become the leader of this class of students. What is the difference? Obviously, he has this relationship with Zumu, but why do some people still dislike him, Liu Xiao, and don't want to listen to him? The more Liu Xiao thought about it, the more he felt that he still had many shortcomings. At least it is the principle and foundation of Li Hong's command. Liu Xiao believes that if he learns how to command and how to lead soldiers, his future life will probably be much easier. With this idea in mind, Liu Xiao plucked up the courage and came to Li Hong. "Hello, Instructor Li. I am Liu Xiao. I hope to learn from you the tactics and command styles you just used." Liu Xiao said it very directly, straight to the point. What does he mean by saying this? He just wants to see the character of this instructor Li Hong first. If he is just an ordinary student now, he is unwilling to teach these extracurricular knowledge, then Liu Xiao has no choice but to go back in disgrace, and then resignedly take a sum of money from the Liu family and quietly give it to some garrison leaders. In this way, he can also learn what Liu Xiao wants to learn, but the means are more or less not bright. However, Li Hong is still a very good person. Maybe it is because the adults in this world like to greet the younger generation? Li Hong was not dissatisfied with Liu Xiao's feeble request, but said selflessly, "After the military training is over every afternoon, I will hold an open class in a classroom in the school. There will be one every day. Students who are interested can come to learn. Students who want to sign up for the army can also come to listen to the class. It can be regarded as an advanced study before going to the battlefield." After Li Hong finished speaking, Zumu nodded and secretly praised this upright middle-aged man. As expected, he was brought out by Zhang Yang. This enthusiasm is still there. Then I'll trouble Instructor Li. Probably after the military training, everyone will participate in our school's freshman graduation meeting, and then 10 students will be selected to go to Xianyang Academy. These 10 freshmen will represent our Magic City College in the Global Freshman Battle Competition. So, Instructor Li is willing to open a small class for our freshmen in Magic City College in advance and talk about practical things. I am really grateful. After Zumu finished speaking, he also looked at Liu Xiao. "Come on, you all heard what I said. After the military training, we will have a freshman competition in our school. Then there will be a competition for freshmen from all over the world. If nothing unexpected happens, I probably won't be able to participate. I might just sit in the guest seats on the side." Zumu spread his hands helplessly. He also wanted to have fun in this kind of competition, but the problem is that everyone knows what kind of person Zumu is now. He likes to show off and will die if he doesn't show off. If he were to participate in the competition, it might not be just Li Lun who would have high blood pressure, it would be all the school leaders participating in the freshman competition. At that time, they would go to the hospital together to measure their high blood pressure. Chapter 327, Secret Realm Training? No way. The military training life that followed was completely different from the previous few years. Not only the Magic City College, but all the colleges around the world are now carrying out military training reforms to give students more learning opportunities and more teaching about actual combat. The reform of the freshman competition proposed by the Magic City College this time is the College Freshman World Competition in a while, which is a project agreed by all the colleges. This kind of going with the flow, although it adds a lot of burden to the students, is for this world. It is really a last resort. In fact, to be honest, no matter which world it is, when it comes to education, there is no excuse or reason to neglect it. It must be taken seriously. Students will be tired, but for the future, for the whole world and their own future, it is better to be a little tired. Just like a soldier, if you don't sweat in training, do you have to bleed on the battlefield? That's the truth. If you don't study hard, will you achieve nothing in the future? On the playground, Zumu watched Sirona and the freshmen of the Magic City College practicing seriously, constantly learning various battle formations and battlefield common sense. He nodded with satisfaction. A strong youth means a strong country, and a wise youth means a wise country. This generation of freshmen and Zumu are basically the same age. After the implementation of the new teaching reform, they have developed in just a few years with the great inclination of world resources. In the past few years, Zufeng should be able to hold on at the border. Even if he can't hold on, in the short term, Zumu can still block the rockets and other evil organizations on his own. But in the future, the world as a whole is not strong enough, and the national integrity is not strong enough. What can we use to drive away the rockets? What can we use to conquer the elf world? Ahem, it's not an invasion, it's a rescue. Anyway, the freshmen are exhausted these days. Not only are they drilled all day, but they also have to go to class in the evening after the military training to learn various secret survival knowledge and skills, and a lot of fighting techniques on the battlefield. The purpose of calling everyone here today is to discuss with you about the practical plan for our batch of freshmen. Still in the conference room, Li Lun tapped the table lightly with his fingers and said slowly, "Indeed, with the reform of military training for freshmen all over the world these days, I also feel that such simple paper-based teaching is still meaningless. I think, if possible, we should add a practical activity, and it is best to set the location of the practice in a suitable place." An elderly vice president held his eyes and said slowly. The moment his eyes met Li Lun's, they both said at the same time, "Secret Realm." Almost instantly, Zulu hurriedly spoke. "No, Zumu and the Secret Realm are in conflict." Li Lun was puzzled, and the old vice president was also puzzled. How could they conflict? How could our future savior, the leader of mankind, have something to fear? Are you saying that Zumu, this young man, can't enter the Secret Realm? That's not possible. If a strong human being dares not enter the Secret Realm, it is tantamount to losing a left and right arm. In the Secret Realm, whether it is strategic resources or experience, it is indispensable for growth. The old dean said, worrying about the future of mankind and the situation in the post-civilization world. This made Zulu speechless. "No, I said Zumu is not suitable to enter the Secret Realm. It's not that he is afraid, but the Secret Realm is afraid." Zulu thought she had said it clearly enough. However, the old dean seemed to be immersed in his own world. He beat his chest and stamped his feet in regret, cursing Zumu's former teacher in his heart. He actually misled his students and made Zumu, such an excellent trainer, afraid to enter the Secret Realm. It's simply incomprehensible. On the other side, the old dean who had not moved for several years also made a decision secretly. "No need to say more. I agree to the new students going to the Secret Realm for the trial this time, and I will lead the team myself. If Zumu has any problems, I will take full responsibility." How can the future of our human race be afraid of the Secret Realm like this? Please rest assured that I will do my best to protect Zumu. I will never let him be in any danger, and at the same time, I will completely eradicate his fear of the Secret Realm. The words of the old dean were greeted with applause from everyone. Only Zulu lowered his head with a helpless look. "It's over, Can the old dean come back this time? It's not that seeing off means seeing off, right? Otherwise, I'll contact Chiefo and ask him to send more experts over. No, that won't work. Now Zumu is causing trouble, and no matter how many experts can handle it. At this moment, Zulu really felt that her head was as big as a bucket, and her thoughts were in a mess. It was simply speechless. Then I'll leave this practical activity to you, Dean Chen. Li Lun stood up and bowed, indicating that the old dean would have to work hard next. At the same time, under the leadership of Li Lun, the others also stood up and bowed to the old dean. Look, this is the pillar of the country, for the future of mankind. He is willing to go to the secret realm. At the age of more than 60, he is still in danger. He hasn't fought with anyone for several years. He has almost been in a state of retirement and is preparing to retire. After hearing that Zumu has a phobia of the secret realm, he was the first to choose to stand up without hesitation. This time I am a role model of my generation and the cornerstone of mankind. If our post-civilization world can be passed down for thousands of years in the future, what Dean Chen did today will surely be passed down through the ages. In the conference room, a group of school leaders surrounded Dean Chen and praised each other crazily. Zulu was speechless, thinking about countermeasures. Huh? Zumu looked at the message sent by Zulu on his mobile phone. He was stunned for a full 10 seconds. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering a special event. Have you forgotten that I am a secret realm destroyer? Task requirements. During the practical activities of military training, take away all the elves in the secret realm Kalu Tunnel 100 miles away from the Magic City College and completely destroy it. Task reward. No elves were accidentally injured, and lead the freshmen to defeat the water fleet. Open the Battle Soul interface. Zumu was a little confused. He was not surprised by the tasks assigned by the system, but was wondering why the college arranged for freshmen to carry out practical activities. Now we are going to enter the secret realm. But, have you really forgotten my nickname? This is too disrespectful of me, Zumu, right? Okay, since you dare to let me go, I won't be polite. Kalu Tunnel, right? Wait for me. Ahem, everyone, take a break. I have something to announce. Tomorrow, under the leadership of our Vice President Chen, we will follow the instructor to the Kalu Tunnel for practical activities. Chapter 328. The accident arrives late. After announcing this, Zumu also prepared to study this Battle Soul interface. Generally speaking, the system will not create something out of nothing. This kind of thing usually comes from the dog system going to some unknown plane to purchase goods, and then bring back some good stuff. The Battle Soul interface, as the name suggests, is a special auxiliary interface prepared for the various battles that the host will face next. Battle is born for war. Soul is that the system will give the host the leadership temperament or fighting style of the top generals in the original world according to the personality and characteristics of the elves. Zumu was still a little confused. The system didn't waste words. It's similar to the Soul Street or Shaman King, but it turns the summoning of historical generals into a fusion of the temperament and fighting style of the generals. So, Zumu understood. It's just to give the elves a characteristic about war. Good guy. It's worthy of being a dog system. Someone sent a pillow just when I was sleepy. I was talking about the fact that I might have to fight with a large army in the future and attack the elf world together, but now there is a war characteristic? This is too comfortable. It smells so good. Zumu thought. He always suspected that the reason why people of the post-elf civilization could not take the initiative to enter the elf world, it is very likely because of the world level. That is to say, the post-elf civilization world may be a world plane outside the elf world, but with the continuous collapse of the elf world, the projection of the secret realm began to descend on the post-civilization world, which led to the emergence of the secret realm and the elf civilization in the post-elf world. In this case, it is very likely that the original world level of the post-elf civilization world is not as good as the elf world. So at the border, there is this kind of one-way transmission. This kind of transmission is also protecting the post-elf world in a disguised way, but at the same time, it is also showing the advanced level of the elf world. That's right, they are just one level better than our world. But being awesome is not always, it's just temporary. With the rise of Zumu, The post-elf civilization is united and will sooner or later surpass the average strength of the elf world. Raise the world level, so that we can be on an equal footing, ha ha ha. At the same time, Zumu also had doubts because he has not collected enough of the protagonists of the elf world, so the system has not opened the channel that allows the two worlds to travel freely. It's not because his strength is not enough, but because the gap between the luck of the two worlds is too big. Zumu needs to collect these sons of luck and improve the world level of the elf civilization. What I said may be a bit profound. Those who don't understand here are advised to force themselves to understand. Those who understand can leave a comment and explain it to those who don't understand. Early the next morning, Zumu packed himself up early and made a loving breakfast for Shirona. Some people say that men cooking is spineless and has In fact, it's not true. Cooking for the person you like is a kind of happiness. At the same time, it is also a kind of happiness to be able to eat the food cooked by the person you like. This feeling may not be understood by those sour dogs, but they say it is a dog licking. It's really a knife cutting the ass. Open your eyes. Shirona's military training is so hard every day. Because of her identity, she can't show any negativity or fatigue. Being watched by countless girls and boys, her every move will be deliberately magnified or imitated by others. So she must work hard to do everything in the military training, to show all the sour dogs that some people are born excellent. You can envy, but don't be sour. Saying some sour nonsense without thinking will only make you look more inferior. Of course, part of the reason why Shirona did this was indeed due to Zumu. As Zumu's fiancée, Shirona was still under a lot of pressure. But in addition to Zumu, there was also this part of Kyle. As the daughter of the chief of Western Europe and the eldest princess of Western Europe, Shirona came to the East to study, so she naturally had to set a good example and do a good job in every move. Can't embarrass Kyle. Thank you for your hard work. Today, when we go to the secret realm, you and I will sit here with Lugia. During the military training before, in order to show fairness, Zumu often bought Shirona loving herbal tea or handmade ice cream, but there was no too much special treatment. Okay. Shirona looked up with her big eyes, looked at Zumu's gentle smile, and nodded happily. Which girl would not like to be loved by her boyfriend? Which girl would not like to hold her boyfriend in front of everyone and tell all the opposite sex that this man is mine? In short, although Shirona is a little bit innocent, especially in daily life, she is always a little slow. But Shirona is also a girl. Don't try to guess what a girl is thinking. You won't understand no matter how much you try. Even Lao Mo doesn't dare to say that he can guess what a girl is thinking. So you should just take a look and don't take it seriously. If you use this trick to pick up girls, you will get beaten up. Don't forget to promote this book. Students, let's go. Dean Chen rode his toucan and waited for the roll call of the teams below. Then he gave an order and announced the departure of the army. Originally, in the minds of the school leaders, this was a simple secret realm experience. It was mainly to let the students walk around and fight with wild elves a few more times to let the students know what a real outdoor battle is, and the ferocity of wild elves. Generally, there would be no danger. After all, there are so many teachers following, and the instructors are protecting them closely. If there is an accident, it would be a ghost. However, Zulu insisted. Students must sign an insurance agreement. Others don't know. How can she not know? The meteor waterfall at the beginning was the key secret realm of the post-elf civilization. Zumu said to blow it up, and it was blown up. The masters who died that time were secondary. It was the younger generations of each family who were slaughtered by the Lugia. At least dozens of people. What is the concept of dozens of geniuses from wealthy families? TSK. These may be more than a dozen future venerables. If it is dangerous to go to the secret realm, it is not the wild Pokémon, it is the secret realm. When Zumu went there, Zulu was worried about the secret realm. As for these students, to be honest, Zulu was really worried about them swaggering in like this. If something unexpected really happened, then when a few people were gone, I am afraid that the Magic City Academy will be on the headlines again and become popular. Dean Chen, there seems to be traces of human activities here. It shouldn't be. We cleared the area yesterday. Logically, There should be no trainers in the secret realm now. After a secret realm garrison said this, Zulu's face changed color. Chapter 329 Best Experience Package, Water Fleet. There should be some special small organizations that regard this place as a small base. Zumu smiled lightly and spoke easily. He said this easily, but this group of teachers didn't feel relaxed at all. Mr. Zu, do you dare to say it more easily? Special small organization? In your eyes, is the Hunter organization a small organization? Is the Owl organization small? So, this time we are not here to play with wild elves, but to fight? Zulu still has a relatively stable mentality. Seeing Zumu say this, he immediately reacted. Sure enough, the accident, isn't it coming? If nothing unexpected happens, Zumu will enter the secret realm, and there will definitely be accidents. Don't you think so? That's right. This small organization should not have many people. Everyone wait a moment and give the students psychological counseling, then I will pull them out. Zumu said, and released Arceus directly. There is nothing else to do, just let Arceus, the small radar, help these guys in the water fleet find them, then drive them out. As for the students, Zumu is not worried at all. Get rid of it. Even if Shui Wutong is standing here now, what can he do? Dare to come to Zumu and fight? Isn't it just a small water fleet? What's the difference between it and an experience pack? Okay, Zumu, be careful. Dean Chen still simply thought that all this was just an accident. While marveling at Zumu's ability to respond, he was also quite relieved, seeing that Zumu was not panicking at all, and even calmly pointed out Jiang Shan and arranged what they, the teachers, should do. He had a full leadership temperament. Dean Chen looked at Zulu in confusion. What's the situation? Didn't they say that Zumu was a little afraid of the secret realm? I didn't see it like this. He is calmer than everyone else now. Ahem, classmates. We may have encountered the accident you want to encounter the most. After Li Hong got the news, he brewed some words, slowly opened his mouth, and said seriously, his words can be said to be a stone that caused 1,000 waves. And the 3,000 freshmen were dumbfounded immediately. What's wrong? What happened? What happened? Instructor, have we discovered some evil organization, and are we going to destroy them now? No, I think we have discovered some legendary elves, and Zumu will fight them, just like the 3 sacred clouds before. That shouldn't be the case. The Kalu Tunnel is not a large secret realm, it's just a tunnel. Inside, there won't be any mythical beasts. Right? Who knows? Maybe we can meet Rayquaza here. Please, Rayquaza is in the sky, not in the underground tunnel. Okay? Ahem. Isn't he a large green caterpillar? Who knows? The students talked at once, all of them excitedly shouting. It was exciting enough to come to the secret realm for practical activities. As a result, accidents can still happen now. The students said that we are so lucky. Those who have been to school should know, including those who study excavators, that is, during normal classes, if there is an unexpected special situation. For students, it is a good thing. For teachers, it is a worry. For example, power outages. When students heard that there would be a power outage tomorrow, basically, those who didn't laugh might have some minor psychological problems. I'm just saying this, no harm. I'm a humble author, please protect me. Please don't criticize me too much. But when the teachers heard about the power outage, although they could be happy to have a day off, they were more worried. The course progress was delayed. The students had wasted another day of their youth. It's the same now, no matter what accidents happened in this practical activity. In short, as long as the teachers are worried, it's a good thing for these freshmen. Obviously, they haven't realized what a real war is yet. Looking at the students' excited chatter, Li Hong frowned deeply. Something was wrong. Be quiet. Suddenly, there was a loud shout, and Li Hong showed his serious side. Keep quiet. I told you there's an accident. Why are you still shouting and yelling? Everyone shut up now. Stand in the 30 square teams according to the training. 10 people in a team. Appoint a team leader, and keep your current formation. If any accident happens, the formation will not be disrupted even if people die. Keep an eye on your classmates. From this moment on, they are your comrades. If they die, it means you may die at any time. Put away your laughing faces. Stand still for me. and wait for orders. If someone affects the whole team because of not listening to orders, don't blame me for training him hard. At this moment, Li Hong was no longer the silly instructor he usually was. He put away his honest and loyal appearance and became extremely serious, as if he was a Rakshasa who would eat people at any time. These children who had never seen blood were so scared that they didn't even dare to breathe. Sharona obviously realized the seriousness of the problem. When she saw Zumu leave Lugia's back and go to find the school leaders, he didn't come back for a long time. It is certain that there must be some accident in this secret realm. Coupled with what Li Hong just said, Sharona can basically be sure that there must be some evil organization in this secret realm. I just don't know how big it is. Don't worry, Lugia. Lucario and I will support you and try our best to protect your safety. It is no exaggeration to say that Sharona's strength is basically the strongest here except Zumu, but she has never really cooperated with the army, although she learned the basics for a few days before. But it is almost impossible for her to seamlessly cooperate with Instructor Li Hong and others like a normal soldier. So after weighing the pros and cons, Sharona decided to be everyone's backing so that everyone can play their own role with confidence. She believes that Zumu will definitely solve the strongest and most difficult opponents. So what is left for the students is mostly some opponents that they can deal with at this stage. In this case, it doesn't matter whether she takes action or not. It's better to be a fire brigade with Lugia and Lucario, while protecting the lives of the students. It also allows everyone to feel at ease and devote themselves to the battle without making any major mistakes due to nervousness or the first time on the battlefield. In short, this wave of Sharona can only be described in 8 words. That is, with such a wife, what else can a husband ask for? Zumu, show your sword. Give me back my goddess Sharona. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 330. The Water Fleet was also injustice. To be honest, the time of this encounter was pure coincidence. How coincidental is it? It all started with the fixed stock of Zumu entering the secret realm. Shui Wutan was against Kai Yansong in the elf world, and the two gangs started fighting as soon as they disagreed. They always made some big scenes, and over time, they naturally became well-known organizations. The Water Fleet and the Fire Rock team naturally entered the eyes of the Rocket team. Can Sakaki tolerate it? You dare to make trouble in my territory? Do you want to live? To make a digression, in the elf world, the Rocket team is currently in a state of crushing the Alliance. The Alliance led by Damalanki has been unable to resist under Sakaki's layers of pressure, and is basically in a situation where it is about to end. In this case, the Rocket team is idle, and while arranging to invade the post-elf civilization world. At the same time, they are cleaning up some similar villain organizations. For example, the Water Fleet and the Fire Rock team. But everyone is not stupid. Your Rocket team is powerful, so we will avoid it. Now that there are so many secret realms, the Water Fleet also casually arranged a transmission channel to enter several small worlds. Set up a base there, redevelop, and intend to make a comeback. Kalu Tunnel is one of them. This is a small secret realm that the Water Fleet has just discovered. According to Shui Wutong, they were originally planning to build a small trial base here and arrange some new recruits to train here. This time Shui Wutan came in person with this purpose. While arranging new recruits, he also inspected the environment here. So, isn't this a coincidence? It was Shui Wutang's bad luck to meet Zumu head-on. Zumu, there are so many people here, in this cave. As a live radar, Arceus lived up to expectations. In just a few minutes, he found the hiding place of the Water Fleet. Zumu gave Arceus a thumbs up and chuckled. Well done. How strong is the opponent? Arceus narrowed his eyes and said slowly, normally, I can sense that there is only one good trainer on the other side, and the rest are all rookies. It is not difficult to hear from Arceus' tone that this guy is now also floating. He is full of disdain when he disagrees with something. Well, how about the strongest one? Zumu is still cautious. Although Charizard is not here, he still can't be reckless. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. After all, now there is Arceus as a living radar. If you attack rashly without knowing the opponent's situation, Zumu thinks it is too bad. It should be a master or so. The details are a bit hard to figure out through the Pokeball. After Arceus finished speaking, Zumu was relieved. Okay, then I know. He didn't know what Sirona said just now, but now Zumu has a bold plan. That is training. The opponent is not strong, so Zumu can be a good escort, so that these freshmen can practice well and experience real war. As for the system's tasks, Zumu believes that they can be completed sooner or later. There is no rush for the time being. Dean Chen, there are about 1,000 people on the other side, and the strongest combat power is only a master-level trainer. The rest are newcomers or guys with average strength. I think, under the premise of ensuring the safety of the students, maybe let the instructors and Sharona lead the team to give it a try. Zumu's words are quite reasonable. The teachers and he are responsible for escorting, and the instructors and Sharona lead the freshmen to charge into battle. This is an excellent opportunity to train soldiers. I think it's reasonable, but there is a problem. That is, you must pay attention to safety. Dean Chen agreed with Zumu's idea, but as a senior executive, he is most concerned about the life and health of the students. Especially in this large-scale battle, there are only a few dozen teachers coming. If they can't take care of them in time, the consequences are unimaginable and serious. Don't worry, at present, this unknown opponent should not pose a threat to us. Zumu actually feels sorry for the water fleet. Didn't I always say before that the last qualified villain in the story is always so worth cherishing? It's the same now. Zumu feels that he has already been forced to arrange others to be the villain without a villain. The water fleet said what they said. They really didn't do anything bad. In their own world, they developed honestly, but they were driven out by the rocket team. Now they live in a small place, but they are still met by Zumu, who arranged it without saying anything. Explanation? Sorry, I won't listen. Ask or accept it. You villains are ugly, so you have no human rights. Just when Zumu was about to arrange the water fleet to train the freshmen, Shui Wutong also got the information that a large group of people came to this secret place. It can't be the rocket team. Shui Wutong panicked with a thump in his heart. He has been hiding in such a poor and remote place. Won't the rocket team let them go? I don't know what's going on with Kai Yansong. Is it the same as him, living a miserable life? Damn it, isn't it the rocket team? If it doesn't work, just screw them. In front of his subordinates, Shui Wutong still tried his best to maintain his image. After a moment of subconsciously turning pale, he pretended to be angry and yelled. Seeing Shui Wutong so imposingly wanting to die with Team Rocket, the subordinates could not bear it any longer and quickly persuaded him. Sir, don't do that. We are all new members here. The masters of the organization are not here, and you are the only one who can be called a strong man. You really don't need to go head-to-head with Team Rocket. That's right, sir. We have a chance to survive, right? Team Rocket is inhumane, and will be punished sooner or later. Your priority right now is to preserve your strength. Yes, I dare to suggest that we test the opponent. If we are defeated, please retreat immediately. Seeing the subordinates persuading him loyally, Shui Wutong's eyes were covered with a layer of mist. It's really touching. Once upon a time, I, Shui Wutong, never dreamed that when I was in the most miserable time, I could still have such loyal subordinates. Okay, then I'll listen to you. Shui Wutong nodded slowly. The subordinates breathed a sigh of relief almost at the same time. They looked at each other and smiled slightly. Their thoughts were self-evident. Only if Shui Wutong ran away, they could run away openly. Stay and fight the enemy head-on. Please, stop it. Are you crazy or am I crazy? Such an unfair battle. Leading a group of new soldiers without knowing the reason. Only a fool would fight with the opponent. Chapter 331, Sirona vs. Shui Wutong. After discussing the order of escape with his subordinates, Shui Wutong was relieved and decided to take people out to have a look. Even if the rocket team's pursuit team arrived, he couldn't just run away without saying a word. If that got out, how could Shui Wutong live in the future? After leaving the cave, Shui Wutong took advantage of the weak light from Zumu's side and took a closer look. It's not the rocket team. It seems to be a group of young people, looking very immature. What's the situation? It's not the rocket team seeking revenge. Doesn't that mean there's still a chance? Shui Wutong, who has always been confident in his own strength, suddenly felt that he seemed to be able to do it again, although there seemed to be a lot of people on the opposite side. Shui Wutong felt that he seemed to be able to do it. Hey, the people on the opposite side, where are you from? Shui Wutong shouted arrogantly with his villain headscarf. Yu heard Shui Wutong's voice just after discussing the next action plan with Din Chen, looking into the distance. Wow, what a guy. This big beard, this pirate turban, this standard villain company, is really awesome. Hey, Shui Wutong, we are from the rocket team. Yu was originally going to shout a name that was a bit imposing to scare the other side, but then he thought, what can be as scary as the rocket team? If you know what's good for you, get out of here and don't disturb our rocket team's training. As a natural actor, Yu's acting skills are definitely online. Nothing to say, almost in every gesture, he fully interpreted the style of a big boss. And by the way, he also tried a wink to Din Chen on the side. Although Din Chen is old, he is not stubborn. He instantly guessed what Yu meant and said in cooperation, "This is our rocket team's territory, you get out now." Everyone, listen to my orders, get ready for battle. This man is old and smart, and Din Chen's acting skills are no worse than Yu's. The old voice was full of pressure, and a loud shout scared Shui Wutong so much that his hands were shaking. What a bad luck. It's really the rocket team. You want us to leave? Impossible. This is the base of our fleet. If you want to take it away, you better speak with strength. Don't even mention Team Rocket. I don't even take the alliance seriously. You newbies want to take the Kalu tunnel from me. Dream on, Shui Wutong said with a strong appearance and sweat on his back. Now he has begun to plan his escape route. His subordinates also began to calculate the shortest distance to the transmission channel, whether they should fly or go underground. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Trigonometric function, Pythagorean theorem. Then stop talking nonsense. Let's fight. Yu said with a smile. Team Rocket usually has uniforms when they act. Yu was just making up a story at first, but he didn't expect to really scare Shui Wutong. Obviously, this silly villain believed it, since Team Rocket took the blame for him for no reason. Yu said that it was not bad. Okay, let's fight. Shui Wutong refused to admit defeat. When Yu said he wanted to fight, he responded fiercely. He waved his hand and started to curse. Yu did the same. Everyone, followed the command of Instructor Li Hong and start preparing for battle. Shirona, the bearded man is in your hands. I'll lend you Lugia for now. After Yu finished speaking, he took dozens of teachers and began to wander in the air, ready to rescue at any time. This battle, needless to say, is a training exercise. Shui Wutong saw that Team Rocket actually sent a blonde beauty to deal with him. He sneered in time and thought that Yu underestimated him too much. But the next moment, when he found out that the elf Shirona was riding was Lugia, Shui Wutong was completely dumbfounded. If it was said before that the opponent was Team Rocket, Shui Wutong would still have some doubts. But now, he believed it. Lugia. Who else is qualified to get this kind of mythical beast except Team Rocket? Damn it, don't be so arrogant, Iron Claw Lobster, please. Everyone, start fighting, Shui Wutong yelled, and the recruits of the water fleet also began to charge. They released their skills one after another, and more than 1,000 recruits rushed forward like a pot of porridge. They didn't care about tactics and battle formations. They were mainly recruits and had basically not received systematic training. When the fight started, they didn't have to think about anything extra, just charge in. What rocket team? Lugia. I don't know. Our water fleet is the most powerful. Water fleet Yid. Our leader is still here. We are invincible. These recruits who were perfectly brainwashed began to charge without any theoretical basis. Li Hong saw this and snorted immediately. A mob. All students listened to the order. 10 people in a group, 100 people in a formation. A sawtooth formation. Li Hong's idea was very simple, that is, to use this sawtooth formation, relying on the advantage of numbers, to surround all the idiots of the opponent, and then beat them up. But, he thought it was a bit too simple. If the water fleet is a mob, then the 3,000 new recruits at the moment may be paraplegic. After learning the sawtooth formation for several days, under the command of the instructors, they did set it up, but the problem is that it can't stand. It collapses at the first touch. Some of these new recruits are afraid of death, some are nervous, and some don't know what to do. As newcomers who are on the battlefield for the first time, they are almost blank-minded like their opponent, the water fleet, except for a burst of momentum. They have no consciousness at all. Just do it. When the two sides came into close combat, a dramatic scene appeared. The new recruits of the water fleet and the freshmen of the academy had no rules at all, just a melee. In a hurry, it is not uncommon for trainers to fight hand-to-hand. Even some Pokémons were too heavy-handed. After killing their opponents, many new recruits and freshmen who had never seen blood stopped fighting at the same time, bent over and vomited. This scene was so weird that Li Hong was overwhelmed. On the other side, Sharona listened to Zumu's words and went straight to Shui Wutong. Lucario, Mega Evolve. Without further ado, Sharona summoned Lucario to have a head-on confrontation with Shui Wutong's claw. At the same time, the Lugia she was driving was in the air to prevent Shui Wutong from using despicable means to attack. Claw, use the water cannon to block Lucario. Steel Tooth Shark, run. After a brief trial, Shui Wutong decisively gave up fighting Sharona. She released the Steel Tooth Shark and prepared to run away on the spot. Where to go? Arceus, use block. Zumu's ruthless voice suddenly sounded, and Shui Wutong's face was instantly filled with despair. Chapter 332. Sure enough, there are even more powerful ones. Zumu blocked Shui Wutong with a teasing smile on his face. Are you kidding, little brother? I'm an expert at running away. How could I not know your little trick? Want to run away from me? Wait for the next life. Maybe you will have a chance in the next life, but not now. Shaking his finger, Zumu gave Shui Wutong a gesture to go back and continue. Shui Wutong stared at Zumu blankly. Are the people of Team Rocket so arrogant now? May I ask your name? There is no other way. If you can't beat me, then remember your name and prepare to fight again another day. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. If it doesn't work, kneel down and call me daddy and admit defeat. Anyway, Shui Wutong has thought about it. As long as I bite to death and don't pretend and resist, I can't die. As long as I don't die and come back another day, I will never let this little leader of Team Rocket feel comfortable. Ask me my name? What's the matter? Do you want to seek revenge from me in the future? Zumu smiled and directly told Shui Wutong what he was thinking. But no matter what he said, he really didn't have the intention to kill Shui Wutong. After all, the water fleet was a big organization. If Shui Wutong was destroyed so easily, then the water fleet, without the control of the leader, might not dare to go against the rocket team. Wouldn't that strengthen the rocket team out of thin air? Zumu didn't want to do such a thing that would harm himself and benefit others. Haha, then I won't talk nonsense. If you want revenge, I'll take it. Remember, I'm Zhao Qingxing of the rocket team, nicknamed Ghost Hand without a trace. When you go back, remember to tell others about my power. Zumu was still arrogant and didn't take Shui Wutong seriously at all. Shui Wutong didn't say anything on the surface, which was considered to be a response. In fact, he kept cursing Zumu in his heart for being arrogant and arrogant. A young man dared to be so arrogant? Who gave him the courage? In the future, I must teach this kid a lesson and let him know why the flowers are so red. Lucario, use speed, then wave missiles. Sharona didn't care about that. Seeing Zumu stopped Shui Wutong, she continued to fight. This time she was going to be a rescue team, but since Zumu wanted her to fight this bearded man, Sharona was not polite. It's just a fight, no problem. Iron Claw Lobster, protect, then use cut. To be honest, the skill of cut is absolutely a magical skill. He has a very awesome characteristic, which is to make all male creatures feel cold in their crotch. Luca, fuck, do you have to be so cruel? Just cut off your offspring. Lucario took a step and retreated quickly. After avoiding cut, he immediately covered his little heart and sweated coldly. Fortunately, I was fast and avoided it in time. Otherwise, I would have to look at the big claws of this big lobster. Tut tut tut, I can't bear it. Sharona may not understand Lucario's concerns. She looked at Lucario in confusion. not knowing why this guy missed the great opportunity to counterattack just now. Let's continue. Lucario. Use flying knee kick, bone stab. Don't give the opponent a chance to resist after getting close. When Sirona fights, she emphasizes a strong and heavy force. If it can be solved quickly, she will never be vague. If you can fight, don't quarrel. Lucario, Garchomp and other elves also follow Sirona's character. For opponents, it is always as cold as winter. Throwing away the concerns, Lucario started again and rushed directly. On this side of the battlefield, it was a mess. At the end of the fight, Li Hong was no longer in the mood to command, so he simply released the elves and let them escort the freshmen, and he flew into the air on the elves to prevent accidents. The teachers and instructors were the same, busy and shouting. They kept running around on the battlefield, saving the reckless freshmen and trying not to let them suffer unnecessary injuries. Originally, the battle would be like this. After Sirona defeated Shui Wutong, these recruits would give up resistance. Those who should surrender, but don't forget, Zumu is still here. The system also has tasks. If it was just a few small fish and shrimps from the water fleet, would the system let Zumu destroy the entire secret realm? Boom. The sky and the earth shook violently. What happened? What's going on? No. The fire elves will come back soon. Don't be afraid, Kintaro. It should be an earthquake. Whose elves used earthquake? As the shaking intensified, chaos gradually appeared on the battlefield. The freshmen and the recruits of the water fleet were also panicked at this time, thinking that some big boss's elves were using earthquakes, so they hurriedly stopped fighting and began to wait and see. Zumu was also stunned. Giving Sirona a reassuring look, Zumu asked, Arceus, what's going on? Arceus was also confused. What kind of earth-shaking earthquake suddenly appeared? You ask me. I am not a prophet who can predict the future. I don't know, but there should be some big guy coming out. Arceus looked a little serious. He could feel that this big guy was not very strong, but it was more or less different from the opponents he had met before. As for where the problem was, he couldn't tell for a while. Zumu heard this and gritted his teeth secretly. Sure enough, the dog system is a dog system. I live a comfortable life and you are upset, right? Why are you looking for trouble for me every day? Everyone retreat. Let's end the battle today. Shui Wutong, you also lost. Looking at your strength, you are really not worthy of my attack. I will spare your life today. Remember to take a detour when you see our rocket team in the future. If you can't get around, then kneel down and call me Grandpa. We won't make it difficult for you. Understand? Zumu said arrogantly, and Shui Wutong was so angry that his face turned iron-colored. But people under the eaves have to bow their heads. Even if he gritted his teeth in his heart, Shui Wutong pretended to be a grandson on the surface. Okay, Grandpa. He kept telling himself in his heart that he would be a grandson first and a grandfather later. The more arrogant this guy called Li Qingshan is today, the more I will make him feel sad in the future. Shui Wutong said that he is a man and can bend and stretch. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. I am so upset. Woo woo woo. Zumu doesn't care what Shui Wutong thinks. The more uncomfortable you are, the better. Okay, then take your people and get out of here. This secret realm belongs to our rocket team from today. As he said that, Zumu snapped his fingers, indicating that the academy could let them go. Chapter 333, Black and Demonic Dragon? What is that? The fleet left. The academy also began to arrange evacuation one after another. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'll be out soon. Zumu wanted Sirona to leave first, but this time, Sirona refused to do it. You always do this, leaving me alone to take risks. Sirona pouted, expressing her dissatisfaction. Don't you know that the water friends have started to say that I am a vase? I, Sirona, am also the champion of sin after all. Although I haven't developed in this world, I am not a vase. After all, how can you treat me like this? Zumu thought about it and it was the same thing. It seems that he is indeed a bit chauvinistic and does not care about Sirona's feelings. Okay, but I still say that if there is danger, you must not care about me and run away at the first time. I can be hurt, but you can't, because you are my sweetheart. I will feel bad if I hurt you. Well, a cheesy and earthy love word. Sharona was dumbfounded. Okay. With her head down and her face flushed, Sharona said that she would give you a little face this time. I don't like to hear such cheesy words. After dealing with this person at home, Zumu also concentrated his attention and put his mind on the monster that was about to break out of the ground. As we all know, there are always some strange things in the elf world. For example, there are giant dragonite, giant stinging jellyfish, or 1,000-year-old ghastly, 1,000-year-old ninetales. These are all shown to the audience in the anime worldview. Why do these elves appear? It is because there is a real world, and a real world cannot remain unchanged. Just like mutant creatures such as two-headed turtles and two-headed lizards, they are all products of nature's coincidence. At this time, the mysterious monster in the Kalu Tunnel is also the same. The Kalu Tunnel was originally a mountain. Because it delayed the traffic between Greentown and Karna City, humans dug this tunnel. Whether in anime or games, there are plots here. Just like the episode of the fossil pterosaur of Das Hagu and the episode of the mole. Because of human destruction of the natural environment and various overexploitation of resources, some natural disasters have occurred. Boom. The ground began to crack, and a huge monster broke out of the ground. Roar. A vicious roar. The big monster stared at Zumu and Sirona fiercely. He was looking for someone who woke him up from his sleep. The monster looked like a dragon, but without wings. To be more specific, it was a huge lizard. It looked a bit like the shame of the dragon clan, the red-faced dragon, but this guy was completely black and extremely huge. For a moment, Zumu did not recognize what kind of elf it was. Zumu, this guy seems to be the core of this secret realm. Arceus finally knew why he felt a little weird before. This huge dark dragon, that is, the red-faced dragon, did not have the breath of any mythical beast, but inexplicably, it also carried a trace of terrifying pressure. This was very confusing. However, as his body gradually revealed itself, he slowly released his energy outward. Arceus understood. Specifically, this guy is a combination of an elf and the core of the secret realm. What do you mean? Are you really saying that if we want to defeat him, we have to destroy the secret realm? Zumu asked blankly. Arceus was not very clear, but it was probably like this. He nodded and said, almost. I feel that if the secret realm is not destroyed, this guy may not die. After saying this, Zumu understood. Okay, then we will find someone to stop him, and then the rest of us will start to destroy the secret realm. I'm familiar with this. After saying this, Sirona and Lugia on the side were speechless. Good guy, aren't you familiar with it? Are there not enough secret realms destroyed in your hands? Greninja, Flame Chicken, Extraordinary, Supergroup. You guys go over there and figure out how to destroy this secret realm. Zumu waved his hand, summoned his elves, and started doing his old business. Lugia carried Zumu and Sirona on his back, and when he saw everyone coming out, he felt itchy in his heart. Take me with you. I'm also familiar with destroying secret realms, but as a mount, you have to have the awareness of a mount. Zumu held down his eager head, asking him to be honest. Arceus, why don't you try with this guy and see if you can hold him back? Zumu had no intention of conquering this huge monster. He couldn't even understand the language of elves, let alone human language. Besides, looking at his appearance, he had a temperament that was not very smart. This won't do. This won't do. It definitely doesn't meet Zumu's conquering standards. As for why the secret realm must be destroyed, why this big guy was sentenced to death as soon as he came out, why is it so unfair? Haha. Ask Shui Wutong if it's fair. Isn't it the same for others? He was training in the secret realm honestly, but Zumu came and beat him up, and in the end he thought it was a member of Team Rocket. Ask Shui Wutong if it's uncomfortable. I'll try. Arceus is not a child anymore. He is almost 1-year-old and is now starting to be naughty. Since he got his father's relics from Giratina and got enough energy, Arceus is not so greedy now. Of course, it's not a problem to drool at the sight of delicious food. With the growth of age, Arceus' strength has been constantly improving, coupled with the unlimited use of all skills such as teleportation. Now Arceus, to be honest, is quite arrogant. Even facing two Mewtwo, Arceus can boldly express, I'm not afraid. Isn't it just Mewtwo? If you can touch me, You win. Just like Duanyu who just learned Lingbo Weibo, Arceus is now the fastest and undefeated. He can force a 50-50 tie with any powerful opponent. Okay. You pay attention, Zumiu instructed, and no longer worried about him. Turning around and bringing Lugia to Koga Greninja. How is it? Is there any way to save the most effort? Asking, Zumiu said that he was also very itchy. If you haven't done something like destroying a secret realm, you don't know. This thing is really addictive. To be honest, try it once. You can't stop at all. It's too addictive. Seeing Zumiu was so keen on destruction, Shirona also squeezed in with her little head out of curiosity. That's right, Greninja. What do you think? Do you have any specific ideas? Marry a chicken and follow the chicken. Shirona said that I can accept all the shortcomings and advantages of Zumiu. Besides, it seems that bombing the secret realm does sound a bit cool. Chapter 334, Little Genius Arceus. To be honest, this red-faced dragon also felt wronged. It was originally the shame of the dragon clan and was not welcomed by others. After that, it happened to touch the core of this secret realm and swallowed it in one gulp. From then on, it began a long process of digestion and sleep. After sleeping for hundreds of years, it finally woke up. As a result, it met Zumiu. Needless to say, what happened next? It was also unlucky for this guy. After being kited by Arceus and not even touching his hair, finally, he couldn't help it. With a roar on the spot, the huge red-faced dragon used the skill Roar, also known as the incompetent Roar. Arceus is also an elf who has seen a lot of battles. How could he be scared by the roar of this guy's drooling mouth? Without saying a word, Arceus didn't give the red-faced dragon any face. He ignored him and continued to teleport around the red-faced dragon. By the way, it is worth mentioning that the red-faced dragon is a close relative of Groudon in a sense. Well, because they can't fly. But she is not as good as Groudon in one thing. That is, this guy's appearance is too low. With a mouth full of saliva, he doesn't look that smart. Most likely, after absorbing the core of the secret realm, he made the child stupid. Zumiu glanced back at Arceus and saw that the little guy not only did not suffer any loss, but also had a lot of fun. Only then did he feel relieved and continued to discuss the destruction of the secret realm with the two Muto and Greninja. It was the first time for the Muto to participate in such a big event. They were still quite curious. This secret realm is so big. How can we destroy it? The Muto looked at Zumiu in confusion, expressing that they didn't understand it. What year is it? And there are still people who don't know that the secret realm can be destroyed. Zumiu slapped his forehead and looked at the two Muto with contempt. Put away your ignorant looks, okay? Of course the secret realm can be destroyed, as long as you find the right method. Destroying this thing is as easy as playing. After the explanation, Zumiu didn't expect the two novices to provide him with any help. At this moment, he even wanted to call this guy, Wujitana, over. Speaking of destruction, this guy is not inferior to anyone. Cool, Zumiu. What I said is that force can defeat skill. Let's be more direct and just tear it down. Greninja couldn't help it. Isn't it just destroying a secret realm? Why are there so many questions? If he had the time to talk nonsense, he could destroy 10 secret realms. Zumiu sighed, and seeing that Greninja was impatient, he simply said, okay, you bond evolve first. Blazing Chicken, Mega Evolution, Muto. I just remembered that you two still have a mission. Go and fight that guy a few times to show your respect and give the dog system a face. Zumiu used telepathy to give direct instructions. Now Zumiu rarely communicates with Pokémon through dialogue. In addition to being tired of talking, telepathy can express his meaning more accurately, and it won't be heard by others. Cool, wouldn't it be right to do this earlier? Greninja clapped his hands and started to transform directly. Blaziken didn't waste words either. This guy is the typical one who fights without making a fuss. A biting dog doesn't bark, and a crowing rooster doesn't make a fuss. After the Mega Evolution, Blaziken suddenly thought, Chamo, Zumiu, you said that the core of this secret realm is in this red-faced dragon. Does that mean that we can destroy everything in this secret realm, which is equivalent to defeating this red-faced dragon? If we think about it another way, if we destroy this guy, isn't it equivalent to destroying the entire secret realm? Sure enough, the elves who don't talk are all elves who like to think. But the two Mutuo are the exception. They don't talk because they don't understand and are too embarrassed to ask, so they can only be in a daze. Fight? Kefan and Q didn't understand a word of what Blaziken said. They were still entangled in the previous topic, which was about Zumu asking them to fight. Okay, I like it the most. Kekun clenched his fists and rushed forward. Kefan followed closely behind. The two Mutuo are different from Arceus. These two guys are definitely violent elements. Get out of the way. We'll take care of this guy. After blocking an attack from a giant red-faced dragon for Arceus, Kefan smiled. He signaled Arceus to go back, saying that his mission had been completed, and the rest was up to the two of them. Arceus pouted, feeling a little unhappy that such a good toy was snatched away after playing with it for a while, but it was all because of his lack of strength, and Arceus really had no way to defeat the big fool in front of him. He could only reluctantly retreat to Zumu's side, watching the two Mutuo sandwich the giant red-faced dragon in the middle, punching and kicking back and forth. Why, do you want to become stronger? Zumu saw Arceus's little mood. He asked jokingly. Zumu, am I very weak? Arceus also asked seriously for a rare time. Zumu raised his head, looked at the two Mutuo, and released Celebi. Where do you look at her? Celebi was originally quite happy to be released by Zumu. After all, she had been in the Pokeball all the time, and she was not interesting. But when she heard Zumu's words, Celebi's eyes widened. Celebi, Rabbi Zumu, are you polite? Arceus looked at Celebi seriously, and after carefully examining her from head to toe, he slowly said, she was born not long ago. How can I compare with her? Arceus said proudly like a big boy. Zumu smiled and patted Arceus' head. You can't be impatient. The most important thing is to keep your mind stable. Giratina should have told you that your father is the most powerful being in the entire universe. In the future, you will become the supreme god like him. So, the biggest problem in front of you is not whether you are strong enough at this stage, but your mindset. Do you have a heart that wants to be a king? Can you stay calm and not arrogant when encountering things? So, you can't be impatient, slowly walk your own way, and taking one step at a time is the most important thing. After hearing these words, Arceus instantly understood what Zumu meant. Okay, Zumu, don't worry, I understand. I will be the best in the world in a while. I can do anything by then. If I want to eat someone's snacks, I can just grab them. I don't have to worry about being caught and punished. Zumu, you are worthy of it. Arceus, with your understanding ability, you are definitely a big shot at the level of the god of creation. Chapter 335, Brilliant Victory. Boom. After the huge explosion, Zumu and Sirona rode Lugia and walked out of the transmission channel. What greeted them was the applause and cheers of 3,000 freshmen. There were also shouts from the teachers and instructors of the academy. Zu family boy, are you okay? Dean Chen came to Zumu's side as soon as possible and began to check Zumu's condition carefully and seriously. This kid is now the treasure of Madu Academy and the hope of the whole world. In the eyes of Dean Chen, Zumu's safety is more important than his own life. I'm fine, Dean. Zumu smiled shyly and continued. It's just that I may disappear in the future after being stuck in the green tunnel. Dean Chen waved his hand indifferently. That's not important. As long as you are okay, let alone one secret realm, 10 will do. On the side, Zumu, who heard this, immediately felt a pain in his heart. It's over. Don't let the dog system know about this. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the Mutuo sign-in task. Carry or use Mutuo to participate in a battle in the secret realm once, and you will be rewarded with 1 Mutuo Mega Evolution Stone X, Y each. Please keep up the good work and complete the task. The dog system arrived late, but fortunately, it did not continue to assign any other tasks to Zumu, which made Zumu feel a little relieved. This practical activity has also completed many of the initial ideas, although there are some unexpected things. Overall, the gains are still great. I'll trouble the dean and instructor Lee to make a summary when I go back. Putting his own affairs aside, Zumu said to Dean Chen and Li Hong in a serious tone, the 2 evolution stones are not useful now. The intimacy between these two Mutuo and Zumu is not that high, so they naturally cannot be mega evolved. But this thing is like some collectibles. I can do without it, but I must have it. Before I didn't have it, Zoomu still wanted it a little. Now that I have it, I'm not in a hurry. For now, I'll take the freshman back to the college and make a reasonable summary of this little accident. Well, although everyone's performance this time was a bit unbearable. But there is one thing that is very gratifying. No one of our students had any accidents this time, but a few were scratched by the aftermath of the battle, and a few vomited too hard and became exhausted. Zoomu smiled helplessly. No one escaped from the battle, right? Hearing this, Li Hong replied with some regret. There are still 2 students. This time Zoomu didn't need to speak, and Dean Chen said directly, these 2 students, just expel them, but don't be too harsh. Give them a chance to take the unified exam again next year. But we definitely can't keep them this year. In the freshman competition, their escape from the battle will eventually leave a barrier and grudge in the hearts of other students. Old Chen was not too cruel. These students were his juniors to him, so he didn't mean to target them specifically. It's just that at this moment, he had to do this. Li Hong and Zoomu nodded, indicating that they had no objection to Dean Chen's arrangement. The 3 of them discussed it again and began to lead the team back to school. Sure enough, Zulu looked at the report of this practical activity and sighed helplessly. Poor this secret realm. It's gone just like that. Zoomu has written a report truthfully about what happened in the Kalu tunnel, and Zulu is reading this report. Throwing the report in front of Li Lun, Zulu said helplessly, this kid hopes to strengthen his training. What do you think? The current training volume is already the largest in the military training in recent years. Because of the reform of military training this time and the change in the world situation, the training of the next generation in the future is already an imminent matter. At present, all major colleges are like this. Strengthen the education and management of freshmen, hoping that there will be a few real geniuses in this generation who can give Zoomu even a little help in future battles. A large amount of resources are tilted, and a large amount of teachers are invested. In just 10 days, the freshmen of each college have almost changed dramatically from previous years. Although the results are gratifying, the students are still very hard. Even the school can only help freshmen relieve stress through various subsidies, such as food temptations, and arranging student campus activities. In this case, what Li Lun didn't expect was that Zoomu actually wanted to practice more. This is simply too appropriate. Okay, let him do it. Li Lun laughed wantonly. He was worried that the training volume of this year's freshmen was not enough, which would lead to being outdone by other colleges. But because it was not easy to directly come forward to add more burden to the freshmen, he could only keep the idea of extra training in his heart and wait for the right opportunity. However, Zoomu dared to propose this. Li Lun was so happy that he agreed. He had to agree. He didn't have to be a bad guy, and he could also improve the abilities of the freshmen. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, 2 birds with 1 stone, and fly 2 arrows with 1 arrow. It's just too good. Seeing Li Lun nodding excitedly, Zulu was a little suspicious. Zulu still knew what his nephew was like, with a amused donkey temper that only took advantage of others and didn't suffer any loss. Do you think he was stupid to expect him to help you offend 3,000 freshmen? Okay, then I'll tell him. Although Zulu had a guess in his heart, he still didn't remind Li Lun. There was no need, and it was useless to remind him. It was better to wait and see what happened and eat melons at ease. According to Dean Li Lun's advocacy, the number of military training subjects will be increased from now on. Daily training time will be increased. Every night class time will be extended. 3 messages appeared in the freshman group. A stone stirred up 1,000 layers, and instantly the originally silent freshman group was blown to pieces. Zoomu calmly displayed the 4 words Dean Li Lun in bold font, and smiled with satisfaction when he saw his classmates madly complaining in the group. Slowly turning off the phone, Zoomu had seen that tomorrow morning, posts such as Dean Li Lun is not a human being would appear openly on the campus website. As for Li Lun, Zoomu was too lazy to pay attention. This guy always looked at Aunt Zulu with lustful eyes, and I had long wanted to find an opportunity to teach him a lesson. The next morning, Li Lun got up early, prepared the manuscript for the speech he will make later, and give the freshmen a summary of what happened in the Kalu tunnel yesterday. After all, as the dean, this is his job. Turning on the phone, Li Lun was suddenly stunned. A strange energy rose from his feet to his brain. It is said that the scientific name of this energy is blood pressure. Rushing up like this is the legendary high blood pressure. At only 30 years old, Li Lun suffered from this legendary disease and was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment early in the morning. Chapter 336. Public speaking is a science. It was autumn, and the weather was a little cool. In the early morning on campus, the sun had just risen, as if it had not woken up yet. And it was still a little lazy, and the sunlight was a little hazy. There were a few leisurely clouds floating in the sky, which was completely different from Li Lun's mood. Zumu stood on the rostrum, holding a microphone, looking at the 3,000 freshmen below, with a serious and solemn expression. After so long, Zumu could already control his own expression freely. In other words, he had adapted to the temperament that a superior and a leader should have. In short, the style. Zumu was naughty and noisy, but he knew that when doing serious things, he had to be serious and serious. Classmates, I just learned about this news. Zumu's voice was very steady, without a trace of nervousness or anxiety after lying. Everyone understood what he said. Seeing that Zumu was in a bad mood like them, the freshmen quickly preconceived that Zumu was on their side. He had nothing to do with the shitty dean. He still has the nerve to call himself the youngest dean in history, but he is such a guy who exploits students. We believe you, Zumu. Tell me, what should we do next? Should we unite and resist? Zumu, tell me, we will listen to you. The students' voices came one after another, and Zumu smiled with relief. Yes, it was Zumu's idea to add classes, but he used a small workaround, so the blame fell on Li Lun. As for Li Lun, didn't I say before that he was taken to the hospital? High blood pressure is not a disease, but it is really deadly when it occurs. To be honest, don't look at Li Lun's young age, but young people should pay more attention to their health. Otherwise, if something happens by mistake, it's hard to say what the name of this Magic City College will be in the future. Regardless of Zumu's other things, relying solely on his own abilities and connections, there will be no problem in pushing Zumu to the stage. Ahem, it's a bit of a conspiracy theory. Anyway, the general meaning is that the students now regard Zumu as their own. There is no way. Who made Li Lun not know the principle of striking first to gain the upper hand? Who made him forget that Zumu is also an excellent scholar? This can't be blamed on others. Besides, Zumu's position is an instructor, responsible for the communication between the college and the freshmen. To put it bluntly, he is just a messenger. Although Zumu's own identity is special, his position is basically the same. Students, don't get excited. It's just a small matter like extra practice and extra classes. We shouldn't make a big deal out of it and make the problem unsolvable. Zumu waved his hand, signaling everyone to calm down and listen to him. Seeing this, the freshmen stopped whispering and looked up at Zumu, waiting for his next words. Zumu coughed lightly, and after thinking for a while, he slowly said, "When I knew about this, I was also very angry. Like everyone said, we just experienced such a dangerous battle in the secret realm, and we haven't rested yet after coming back, and we are directly arranged to practice more. Who can bear this? They don't treat us as human beings at all. What's wrong with being a student? Do students have to get up early and stay up late, and be tireless?" As Zumu spoke, his voice became more and more inflammatory, and the freshmen who listened were passionate. It was as if there was a rage in their hearts that they couldn't help but vent. Li Hong on the side was secretly shocked. He was worthy of being Mr. Zhu. His speech skills were solid. Look, this guy fooled these young people who had just started out without knowing the directions in just a few words. Li Hong dared to bet that if Zumu said he wanted to rebel and overthrow the Magic City College now, these freshmen would definitely not raise their heads and do it. They didn't even ask the reason. If they asked, they would just say Zumu was the leader and we could do anything. In addition to Zumu's public speaking skills, his personal charm is also a factor. In fact, in some countries, public speaking is a very important skill. Even when choosing a leader, the quality of public speaking is one of the key factors in the selection. I've considered it and decided to talk to the college on behalf of everyone. I'm not saying good things for the college. In fact, Everyone knows that the college lets us train for our own good. It's obvious that our strength has improved, and although the college can also gain corresponding reputation and benefits, the more practical benefits are still obtained by ourselves. It's better to have it yourself than to have it from your parents. Everyone knows this sentence. Although they did a little too much this time, it is still understandable. I hope some extreme students will not get too excited. Also, students who feel they can't bear it and want to go back to repeat a year are welcome. It just so happens that I'm here today. Dean Lee has something to do. Students who have this idea can bring it up with me. As long as you have an idea and dare to say it, I will definitely not make it difficult for you. As for the extra training, I will give you a reply after I talk to the school. After Zumu finished speaking, the 3,000 freshmen below were silent. No one spoke. Everyone was thinking about what Zumu meant by what he said. Finally, it was under the leadership of Liu Xiao that they came to their senses and applauded Zumu. Wow! Warm applause rang out. Zumu smiled calmly, and looked around at every freshman at the scene. Observe whether there are really any of them who can't stand the physical and mental state, and observe whether anyone will take the opportunity to make trouble. Fortunately, I don't know whether Zumu fooled them or everyone was more obedient. This time, although some students were still dissatisfied, they didn't explode. Quietly standing in their positions, waiting for Zumu's handling results. Pretending to walk out of the college teaching building, Zumu has discussed the specific process of adding classes with the leaders of the college. It's very simple, that is evening self-study. In addition to daily military training and evening classes, now we have to add an evening self-study time. It is a place for everyone to train else, or to get together to exchange and discuss and improve their experience. It's not possible to work behind closed doors. Only exchanges and communication, only healthy competition can make everyone more motivated. Moreover, Zumu also stipulated that during the evening self-study period, students who can fight 10 consecutive victories can be exempted from one evening self-study. This time, both the big stick and the sweet date are available. The students reluctantly agreed. Although they were still dissatisfied, they no longer resisted as they did at the beginning, and Zumu's goal was perfectly achieved. What is this called? This is called putting something from the left pocket into the right pocket. It's just a change of name. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 337. Lots of big prizes. After solving the evening self-study problem, Zumu also realized that there was another very important reason why the freshmen were not motivated enough. That is, the rewards were not attractive enough. What were the rewards for getting a place in the freshman competition before? It was nothing more than some resources, and it could make the freshman's career in the future student union smoother. However, compared with the doubled training after the reform, these things are a bit unbalanced for freshmen. Well, I think we can appropriately increase the rewards for the winning colleges in the freshman competition. During the evening self-study that day, Zumu came to Li Lun's office, sat down and said with a smile, looking at Zumu sitting opposite him, smiling and crossing his legs, with a little Lilas on his shoulder. Li Lun felt a little sweat on his forehead. This kid is really too much. Okay. However, although he was angry, when it came to business, Li Lun was still able to sit down and talk with Zumu. That's good. What about the rewards? What can you come up with? Zumu knew the funding situation of Magic City College. It's not bad. But it's not bad. As one of the most powerful colleges in the East, the funds of Magic City College are allocated in large amounts every year. But because of Zumu's troubles these times, and now the college has improved the resources and treatment for all students. This also led to the fact that in the short term, the college seemed to have no spare money to set the rewards for this freshman competition. There is nothing to be done about it. Although this reward can be casually fooled, it is not acceptable in terms of face. After all, it is also an official matter of the college. If it is given less, it will be too petty. Zumu held his shoulders and watched Li Lun struggling with the mentality of watching a joke. What kind of conditions are appropriate is indeed a big problem. Well, I think so. We can give some honorary rewards to students who win awards or are outstanding in the freshman competition. After all, they are going to fight for the school. Then allow all freshmen who win awards to receive an elf egg in the incubation house. Zumu was stunned. This guy is really a stingy person. His personality is not much different from his own. Is he really stingy? Are there enough eggs? Zumu asked in confusion. Enough. Your aunt donated a lot of money to our college a few days ago, and we took the opportunity to expand the scale of our incubation house. After hearing this, Zumu understood. No wonder Zulu was so young. She could hold a high position and even work beside Leilun. She has been among the school leaders for a long time, and it seems that she has the support of the richest man in the East. This is better than having someone above her, because Zulu's operation is called, I have money above me. Okay, what about the other freshmen? I understand the principle of only giving rewards to outstanding students, and those who are capable will take the position to avoid wasting resources. But the situation of freshmen now is a little different from before. Zumu did not give up, just wanted to see Leilun bleed once, and continued to ask. Leilun raised his eyebrows, guessed what Zumu meant, and shook his head indifferently. Young man, you still have a few years to learn how to play tricks in all aspects. Leilun thought secretly in his heart, looking up proudly, obviously forgetting that he was angered by Zumu and went to the hospital several times before. This matter is easier to handle. The old campus of the college has many elves exercise equipment. These can all be opened to all freshmen for free. This benefit is good, isn't it? You know, the most difficult thing for freshmen every year is that there is no place to scientifically train elves. I've saved them a lot of money this time. Leilun's conditions are indeed tempting. Those who don't know may not understand. This fitness area is like the school's gymnasium. Although the college opened a new exercise area due to a strong capital injection some time ago, the old one was not discarded at will. It just happened to be used as a benefit for freshmen, killing two birds with one stone. Freshmen saved money and their strength was improved. And the school is also recycling waste. Beaver. Zumu pinched his chin, a little helpless. You are really an excellent scholar. With a sigh, Zumu turned and left. It was a pity that Zumu didn't get too much benefit from Leilun, but the goal has been achieved, and no matter how many things there are, it doesn't matter. If you deal with Leilun, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. After explaining the reward to the freshmen, Zumu had completely settled the young people. Leilun continued his military training, and Zumu continued his idle wandering. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. During this period, the freshmen were really exhausted. However, it was visible to the naked eye that their strength, spirit, and combat quality had improved significantly. Thanks to Zumu's devilish education, the freshmen now have the concept of teamwork, and have performed well in several simulated battles. Even Leilun couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, this group of educated students, although a little soft-tempered, are not as good as those rough guys in the army. However, their ability to accept new things is really too strong. The importance of culture is obvious. If he were in the army, he would have trained 3,000 people to the current level in just a dozen days. Leilun must ask himself, it's impossible. Although these freshmen are only rookie trainers, don't forget, they are all the pride of this generation. Although Zumu's brilliance completely overshadowed them, it still couldn't change the fact that they were also geniuses. In other words, they were geniuses who followed the rules, and they were geniuses within common sense. And Zumu, that was an accident. Each of these freshmen who could stand out from millions of people and enter the Magic City Academy had their own unique characteristics. Now, after unified training, they have grown more on the basis of the previous ones. In view of everyone's recent good performance, the school and I have decided to give everyone a small benefit after a fierce discussion. As usual, Zumu stood on the podium during the break and said, today, whoever can defeat my Larulas with his elves, I will personally fund you a quasi-god cub. Zumu patted the head of the little Larulas and looked at all the freshmen on the scene calmly. This is just a small game, but with Zumu's words about the quasi-god cub, everyone, that was directly boiling, that, except for Sirona, Among the 3,000 of you, one is counted as one. If you want to try, don't be polite, just come up. Chapter 338, Laryaliz's small outburst. Just like the silly thing has Pikachu, there has always been a cute little red-haired boy sitting on Zumu's shoulder. This little guy is Ralts, a creature that looks no different from a mascot. Basically, everyone in the entire post-elf civilization knows that Zumu has a Ralts, but he has never used it. This is a shining elf. Although no official data has been released so far, everyone still speculates what is special about this little Ralts. But for now, this special feature is not clear to everyone, just a simple suspicion that this elf is not simple. After all, there are few Pokemon in the world who can sit on Zumu's shoulders and have this honor. Didn't you see that Lugia, a mythical beast, was sat on by Zumu? So, after Zumu finished this sentence, there was no imagined scene of thousands of people coming to challenge. Instead, everyone had a lot of concerns, and no one dared to be the first to come up and challenge Zumu. This is embarrassing. I am really a little Ralts, nothing special, except that I can use evil skills. I'll do it. At the critical moment, it's still the people who give face. Liu Shuo roared, and with a spirit of sacrifice, he raised his hand. At that moment, really, 3,000 freshmen gave Liu Shuo a thumbs up in their hearts. This guy is too good, so brave. In a moment of silence, it seemed as if someone was humming "How can you say you have no clothes?" This song didn't matter, it directly caused a chain reaction, and everyone hummed softly in their hearts. With you in the same robe, the king will raise an army. From this, it can be seen that Liu Shuo's challenge to Zumu is definitely a heroic act of seeking death in everyone's mind. I'm not teaching you this song at this time. It's the military song of the Kin warriors before going to the battlefield. Okay? What are you doing? Zumu's face turned purple. These bastards actually used this song on themselves. Well, you're done. Liu Shuo, come on, let's fight first, and then everyone except you will participate in another battle. After Zumu finished speaking, he smiled evilly. You are still too young to fight me. Putting aside the matter of dealing with these guys later, Zumu concentrated on the battle in front of him. This was Laryaliz's first battle. The little girl had been with Zumu for so long, and her injuries had long been healed. Although she had never received systematic training, her strength had slowly accumulated over time. She was already gifted, and she had the energy of God Y fused into her body. And she also had the personal guidance of Lugia, the god of both superpower and evil attributes. Laryaliz was now like Uzumaki Naruto, with a huge amount of energy in her body, but she just didn't know how to use it properly for the time being. This was why Zumu gave her a chance to fight. Boss, I'm not polite. Liu Shuo, with his belly bulging, trotted up to the podium and released his Snorlax. Because of his smile, the flesh on his face was piled up together, and he looked full of humor. Okay, just do it. Zumu nodded. He didn't want Liu Shuo to show mercy to give him face or anything. In a battle, going all out is respect. There's no need to let him go, right? Besides, even if he was letting the opponent win, it was Zumu who let him win. It's not Liu Shuo's turn. Okay. Nodding in response, Liu Shuo began to enter his own battle state. Snorlax, use rolling. Ralts is indeed a small guy compared to the huge Snorlax. Rolling is still a great advantage against such a small guy. Liu Shuo's first choice was almost a mistake. Did someone say that it shouldn't be strengthened? After strengthening, roll it, just like Zumu's Snorlax, sleeping with a bulging belly. Multiplication technique. Rolling. Isn't this routine more fragrant? Indeed, Zumu's unsolvable combo is very deadly, but it also depends on the conditions of the elves used. Liu Shuo's Snorlax is essentially much different from Zumu's Snorlax in strength, so it is naturally impossible to complete that set of smooth combos. In addition, Liu Shuo is now facing Zumu. Although this guy only used a small Ralts, to be realistic, this is still Zumu facing Zumu. If he used belly bulging and sleeping, Liu Shuo was also worried that his Snorlax would be eliminated before the strengthening was completed. This is very realistic, so Liu Shuo chose to roll directly, which was definitely very smart in Li Hong's opinion. This little fat guy is interesting. seeing a glimmer of light in Liu Shao's little eyes. Li Hong nodded secretly. He is a talent. I didn't expect that this class of students not only has a high overall quality, but also has many such little geniuses with a flash of inspiration. Sure enough, talents emerge in troubled times. After all, this era that is about to be disrupted has produced countless proud children of heaven, and Zhongyu is the emperor of this era. Turning his head, Li Hong looked at Zhongyu with a little respect and longing in his eyes. He was glad that he had the honor to meet Zhongyu. Laryulas, don't be afraid, use instant movement to dodge, and then float into the air. Zhongyu commanded calmly, and Laryulas also held back the little fear in his heart and tried his best to do what Zhongyu said. Lalu, stimulating the superpower in his body, Laryulas used teleportation and appeared behind Snorlax. After avoiding this rolling attack, Laryulas looked at Snorlax, who turned quickly, and exerted a little force with his little hands to make himself float in the air. Snorlax, rock climbing. Liu Shao's Snorlax has been naughty since he was a child, and he never stopped climbing trees and swimming. This also led to this guy being more inclined to physical attacks, and he knew everything about surfing and rock climbing. Laryulas, use the exchange of venues. Zhongyu ordered again. Laryulas's strength is definitely not as good as Snorlax's. There is no doubt about that. So if you want to win this battle, you can't attack brute force. You can only use your wits. Lalu, with a light cry, Laryulas used his superpowers again to suddenly exchange the positions of himself and Snorlax, thus avoiding Snorlax's rock climbing. Laryulas, use Shadow Ball now. Snorlax, destroy the light. Almost at the same time, Zhongyu and Liu Shao both found the opportunity to attack, shouted the command at the same moment. Although Snorlax missed the target, his action was definitely fast enough. The moment he received the command, he turned around and fired a destructive beam straight at Laryulas. On Laryulas' side, the release of the Shadow Ball was a little slow. Chapter 339. Calm all of you. Seeing that the destructive death ray was about to attack her, the Shadow Ball in Laryulas's hand had not yet been condensed. The little guy was anxious. He waved his hand to cancel the unformed Shadow Ball, and Laryulas directly activated the superpower in his body. His eyes were wrapped in blue telekinesis, and Laryulas directly controlled the destructive ray. Following the light, the telekinesis chased the body of Snorlax. Laryulas shouted, throwing Snorlax out heavily. Lulala. After doing all this, little Laryulas was exhausted and fell to the ground gasping for breath. She was still too young, and her current physical condition was not enough to support her to use such a strong superpower. Laryulas, you are still pushing yourself too hard. Next time you encounter this situation, just use protection. Zhongyu stepped forward, picked up the little guy, and gently instructed. Lulala. Zhongyu, I want to win. Laryulas didn't dare to refute, and could only explain in a low voice. The aggrieved look made people want to pity him. Zhongyu smiled helplessly. Who did this competitive spirit come from? It really is. Okay, I got it. But don't do it next time. What if you hurt yourself? Zhongyu patted Ralts's little head and stood up again. Liu Shao, I lose this battle. Ralts has no strength to continue fighting. Zhongyu spread his hands helplessly. Although Snorlax was almost unable to fight by Ralts's super telekinesis at this time, but this was after all the use of overloaded energy. For Zhongyu, it was indeed a bit unfair. It's nothing more than a quasi-god Pokémon. It's not a small amount of money. Besides, Liu Shao is also his own man, so he just gave it to him. Thank you, boss. Liu Shao jumped up excitedly and ran all the way to Snorlax's belly. Grabbing Snorlax's big paw, he said happily, Snorlax, you've worked hard. Boss said to give us a quasi-god Pokémon. Now we're rich. Ha ha ha. Snorlax woke up slowly, not knowing why Liu Shao was so happy. However, seeing that his trainer did not blame him for being defeated by the little guy, but was dancing with joy, Snorlax was relieved. Snorlax smiled casually. Snorlax, dot. Putting Ralts back on his shoulder, Zhongyu flexed his fingers. Come on, since no one of you dares to come out for a one-on-one fight, let's fight in a group. Don't say I don't give you a chance. I'll leave these two Pokémon here. 3,000 of you can come together. Whoever can attack them both will win. The conditions remain unchanged. Whoever attacks these two Pokémon will still be given a quasi-god cub, and I'll give him an extra day off. Come on. Zoomu released two Mewtwo, Transcendence and Transcendent. Looking at the 3,000 freshmen below, he smiled. Well, who was there singing "How can you say you have no clothes" for me just now? Did you think I was the villain boss? Zoomu's petty-mindedness is not just ordinary petty-mindedness. Other people's protagonists all have photographic memories and excellent memory. Zoomu, on the other hand, could remember everything he saw and had an extraordinary memory for those who had scolded him. By the way, Instructor Lee, you guys should come too. All the teachers and students in the school can come and try this small activity. What about the sophomores and juniors? Let them come later. Whoever can meet these two elves of mine will be given a quasi-god cub, plus a day off. Zoomu was like this. He suddenly got inspired and did it. It just so happened that there were no hot spots in the Magic City College in the past 2 days, and the traffic had dropped a lot. Lilun also lost a lot of hair because of this. It just so happened that Zoomu did this, and there was traffic and topics. Nice. Hearing that Zoomu had made another move, Lilun, who was sitting in the office, was shocked at first, but then he was happy in his heart. He was shocked because he was worried about his health. He was happy because the college could stand out again this time, and there would be more enrollment and funding next year. Lilun, who was filled with mixed feelings, reviewed the planning plan for Zoomu's small activity and sat helplessly on the chair. He still agreed very much with this small activity of all the teachers and students in the school beating up Zoomu. After writing a big read on it, Lilun asked his secretary to take the document out for record. He began to think about it. It seems that there is a bug here. That's right, all the teachers and students in the school. That means, I count as well? Lilun almost jumped up from his chair subconsciously. He finally caught Zoomu's handle. What quasi-god cub? Lilun didn't care. For an old trainer like him who has already become famous, this reward is really not too important. The main thing is that he can now have the opportunity to beat Zoomu openly. If it were a one-on-one fight, Lilun would definitely not be sure. After all, Zoomu is indeed a monster, and his strength is simply not human. But now it's a group fight, and it's a big group fight with all the teachers and students in the school, the entire Magic City Academy. It should be said that there must be at least 20 or so venerable level instructors. There is no invincible, but there are 3 quasi-invincible trainers, including Lilun. Such a luxurious lineup of teachers is not necessarily available in ordinary academies, that is, Magic City Academy. Let's change the rules. If the instructor's Pokémon touches Zoomu's 2 Pokémon, it doesn't count. You have to knock them down to win. Lilun seemed fair and just, but in fact he had already prepared to teach Zoomu a lesson. If you win by just touching them, how can you fight? So, this rule needs to be changed a little bit. Zoomu looked at the activity plan passed to him, and saw that Lilun actually changed the instructor's rules, but he didn't care too much. It doesn't matter, whether it's touching or defeating. Is it important, the strength of the 2 Mewtwo? Is there any difference between touching and defeating? Anyway, they can't do it. It's really interesting. You actually increase the difficulty for yourself. Zoomu chuckled and signaled Shirona, who was sitting on Lugia, to turn on the live broadcast. In such a short time, all the teachers and students of the college have basically gathered in the playground. How could anyone not come to such a good event? In the eyes of many students, Zoomu is giving away the quasi-god cub for free. In the eyes of many instructors, Zoomu is just a kid with money and nowhere to spend it, and he is here to die. Naturally, everyone was extremely enthusiastic and rushed to the scene decisively. Even if someone was busy and didn't make it to the scene, they would probably come back soon. Seeing this, Zoomu nodded secretly. It's time to start this little event. Surprise! Zoomu threatened that 2 elves would fight against all the teachers and students of Magic City College. After modifying a small title, Shirona opened the live broadcast room. Shirona has also learned to use clickbait titles. Chapter 340, Mewtwo's Daily Defeat. Beat up all of the teachers and students in the school. This is the small goal that Zoomu set for the 2 Mewtwo. Why do we do this? Kefan looked at Kyo in confusion. not understanding what the meaning of doing this was. Bullying a group of weak people to show their strength? Or do all elves have to accept this kind of trial to improve themselves? I don't know, but seeing how enthusiastic Zumu is, it seems to be a very interesting thing. Kikun said that he was also confused. He was called out and beaten up by a group of people for no reason. How to describe this feeling? It's just inexplicable. But for now, what the two of them think is no longer important. Now all they have to do is listen to Zumu's arrangements. Other things can be put aside and discussed later. So, Mewtwo officially took action in front of the whole world. This is the first time they have taken public action to show their strength to the whole world. It was also this time that people remembered the elves like Mewtwo. They are mythical beasts like Mew and Ho-Oh. They are guys at the level of legendary elves. Although there is no story about Mewtwo circulating in the world, it does not prevent everyone from recognizing the power of Mewtwo and have respect for them. With Kekun and Kefan holding back, all the elves of the teachers and students in the school were knocked down. It was okay for others, but the worst one should be Lilun. This guy thought he had found an opportunity to deal with Zumu, but he didn't expect to dig his own grave. The 6 main forces didn't even touch the hair of the 2 Mewtwo, and they all fell down. This wave can be said to be a show. Shaking his head bitterly, Lilun sighed helplessly. Gangsters are not scary, but they are afraid of hooligans with culture. A gangster who has read books is simply the worst of the worst, completely inhuman. Haha, the dean is in a good mood today, and he came to play this kind of small activity with us. Zumu came to Lilun with a smile, killing people and not forgetting to kill their hearts. On the surface, he pretended to be humble and greeted him, but in fact he sneered and mocked secretly. Lilun also accepted his fate. He was not as skilled as others, and he had to admit it himself. Lilun said shamelessly, "I'm just idle, so I'll cooperate with your work." Zumu replied, "Thank you for setting an example." "You're welcome, it's just my job. After all, the good of the college is the good of everyone." The two of them were talking back and forth, both gritting their teeth. They never had any grudges, but for no reason. They just didn't like each other. This may be because the same sex repels each other, or it may be because they are the same kind of people. Perhaps, if Zumu didn't have a system, he and Lilun could really compete on equal terms. But there is no way. Who made Zumu a hacker? Becoming an opponent of a hacker. I can only sigh that it's Lilun's bad luck. The live broadcast lasted for more than half an hour. That is, the 2 Mewtwo defeated nearly 60,000 Pokémon in just over half an hour. What is this concept? Everyone knows. There are about 10,000 students in the whole college, plus nearly 12,000 tutors. About 60,000 Pokémon were all knocked down by Mewtwo in half an hour, and their lives were not hurt. This is simply a miracle, let alone anything else. Even if 60,000 pigs stood there motionless, a soldier with an AK-47 could not kill them all in half an hour. So, the power of Mewtwo is so terrifying that it can be seen. This wave of operations has completely shocked the world. Now many people have begun to wonder whether Zumu has surpassed his father Zufeng. If this is true, will the father and son appear on the battlefield at the same time in recent years, leading the post-elven civilization world to counterattack the elf world? At that time, brothers will fight against tigers, and father and son will fight together. That would be too good to be true. It's so good to think about it. In addition to paying attention to Zumu's strength, people are also curious about the origin of Mewtwo. Such a powerful elf, even against the sky. Why have we never heard of it before? This is unreasonable. Zumu will not answer these doubts to netizens. Just guess. Be curious. The more curious, the greater the traffic. What is this called? This is called mastering the true meaning of the internet. Okay, it seems that everyone is sorry today, and no one has the chance to get a quasi-god cub. Then I can't do anything. The military training will continue next. Students of other grades, leave the playground as soon as possible. Zumu raised his arms and shouted, saying this sentence that made the 3,000 freshmen heartbroken at the same time. Military training continues. Woo woo woo. That night, at Zumu's home, sitting on the sofa, Zumu pouted and thought about the system. After the Battle Soul interface was opened, The system has not yet rewarded anything related. Zumu still has a little understanding of this new interface and is a little confused. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering a special task, the Revenge of the Unknown Totem. Because the host had offended the Unknown Totem before and judged the three holy clouds, despite all kinds of accidents, they still reached a consensus and decided to join forces to return for revenge. Please prepare the host. In the next 3 days, resist the Revenge of the Unknown Totem and you will get a reward. Battle Soul Awakening 1. Zumu sat at home, and the task came from the sky. I was just wondering what this Battle Soul interface was for, and the mission came. Unknown Totem, this is an old friend. 3 Saint Clouds, 3 gays, these are also old friends. How can it be said that these two guys met by chance outside, and then hit it off and decided to cross the world to seek revenge on me? Damn, it's really possible. The more Zumu thought about it, the more he felt it was possible. These guys are not good-tempered. If it were other elves, like Dream or Rayquaza, they would just accept it if they couldn't beat me. After all, they are not as skilled as others. But it's hard to say about these guys, because the Unknown Totem is not bound by any rules. And the 3 Saint Clouds were directly knocked down by Zumu, and they had a serious trip to the gates of hell. Looking at this situation, Zumu also smiled helplessly, and sighed that the world is really small. It's not that enemies don't meet, but these two things really met at this time? Okay, come on, if we can kill them once, we can kill them a second time. Zumu stood up, sneered, and was about to stand up and pose. Boom. There was a loud noise, like thunder, and a hole was broken in Zumu's house. Then, San Shengyun, with some purple crystals on his body, proudly descended from the sky as if wearing armor. Zumu, we are back. Didn't expect it. We are not dead yet. Land Cloud Yun smiled fiercely, ready to show off his return as a king. Chapter 341. This is not the script I got. The story is like this. The 3 holy clouds were indeed killed at once after being judged by Zumu. However, they were not all dead. It can be understood as in Dragon Ball. Frieza was killed by Son Goku's spirit bomb, but was saved by his father. The current situation is not much different. The Unknown Totem is really something. It was saved by the 3 holy clouds. To be honest, they have been keeping an eye on Zumu's affairs since they were dealt with by Zumu. This time, they are sure that they can fight even if Vegeta comes. After in-depth research and discussion, the Unknown Totem finally completed the unconventional phenomenon fusion with the 3 holy clouds who still had a breath left. So, they came to seek revenge and kill Zumu. You are done this time. The 3 holy clouds each held a powerful Unknown Totem version of the armor, and they looked like they were the second to the sky. Zumu was really angry and laughed. What? The dead can all come out. What's the matter, dog system? Are you like Akira Toriyama, starting to eat up your old capital? If I kill the 3 Saint Clouds again, can you create a hell and let them revive from the dead? Or call it Shattered Earth Reincarnation? No matter how Zumu complains in his heart, the dog system knows what's going on, and it just bites to death and doesn't say anything. These 3 guys are here. If you don't beat them, they will beat you. What does it have to do with my system? Tasks cannot be triggered by force, but must be pushed along. The system is now a mature system and has already mastered the essence of issuing tasks. Okay, I'm done. You are so great. I'm so scared. Zumu curled his lips and clicked his tongue, looking at these 3 idiots speechlessly. Why did they make trouble at that time? It seems that they were fooled by the Zhao organization. They have died once, and they still have no memory. Can they be fooled by the Unknown Totem again? Sure enough, some people are born to be guns and do not deserve sympathy. I have to trouble you again today. Zumu shook his head helplessly after taking out the elf balls of Ku and Kafan. These Unknown Totems have indeed been staring at him. He could feel them a little before, but he could not find their specific location. Now, they have jumped out by themselves. Isn't this wonderful? These 2 guys appeared today. They should be very strong, but we don't know how strong they are. I don't know when Zumu subdued these 2 elves. We have been monitoring Zumu. According to our speculation, these 2 elves are likely to have been subdued when he returned to the border. Seeing Kefan and Ku, The unknown totems immediately conveyed information to the three holy clouds. It doesn't matter. The existence of Wujitana is as powerful as an exception. I don't believe that Zumu can have two elves of Wujitana's strength around him. He is not worthy. Tornado Cloud roared fiercely. Thunder Cloud nodded quickly. That's right, let's go. Don't hesitate. When Land Cloud heard that it was the same thing, he immediately started to act. Charge. Boom boom boom. This wave is like hitting a rock with an egg, which is a dead end. When the three of them didn't even release the most basic attacks, they were directly pressed in place by the two Mutuo with their superpowers. Then all kinds of big moves were used directly, at the peak of the Supreme, or even above the battle. The command effect of Zumu, the trainer, is no longer that great. He is more of a backup for the Pokémon. Make sure that it will not make a big mistake and let the opponent consume a lot of physical strength. For details, please refer to Zumu's command of Everlasting Tana, which is to help her transform, and then give her a set of attack methods and routines that suit her. Let her play by herself, and Zumu will take the initiative to remind her when there is a problem. Now the two Mutuo are the same. The two of them are honest and true. They are all-rounders, but they have their own strengths and weaknesses. Q prefers long-range attacks, and Kafan is a bit violent, and often rushes up with a protective shield when he disagrees. So Zumu also arranged a tactical style for them. Zumu, the trainer, is not a dry meal. Otherwise the two Mutuo would not be fooled by him and obey him peacefully. At this stage, if I write about the warm daily life of Pokémon and trainers, I will be suspected of watering down the word count. Anyway, in this wave, two Mutuos were in front and behind. Q was madly attacking in the back, and Kafan was in front of three, blocking all three clouds in front of him, and beating them. There is no need to explain the skills. It is just like playing a game. Just click on the light up, press the skill that is on CD, don't indulge them. That's it. Mutuo's superpowers plus powerful physical attacks directly crushed the three holy clouds and made them autistic on the spot. They didn't even have a chance to fight back, and were suppressed from beginning to end. No, these two guys have the strength of demigods. What's going on? Unknown totem, tell me quickly, what happened? Fuck, help. It hurts so much. The three holy clouds were beaten and screamed. And as their closest comrades in arms unknown totems, after a small meeting, they unanimously decided that Zumu was still too strong and they could not defeat him easily. So, they stopped the loss in time, and the lizard cut off its tail. In short, we don't want the unknown totems on the three of you. Well, we're leaving first, we're all brothers, take care of yourselves. Well, that's about it. As for the unknown totems that were left behind, they also died of self-awareness and time. They still remember how the mysterious totem version of the three sacred beasts was tortured by Zumu last time. This guy is a devil. He plucked hair, burned it, and froze it. He even wanted to see if the unknown totem could explode under the cold and heat. It was beyond the maximum tolerance of the elves, and they couldn't afford it at all. Well, I'm going to die of self-awareness after I say this. You three listen. The three sacred clouds shouted for a long time, and finally an unknown totem that had a conscience replied to them. You say, Land Cloud said hurriedly as if he had grabbed the last straw. The unknown totem's voice was a little weak, and it could be seen that he was in the process of self-death and was about to die. Is that so? Listen carefully. Actually, Zumu is also a good person. So if you really have no other choice, you can just bear with it. Well, believe me, although we are against Zumu, it is because we have a grudge against each other. To be honest, Zumu is also a good trainer. At least, submitting to Zumu is better than committing suicide like me. Chapter 342. The three saints are convinced. The words of the unknown totem suddenly enlightened the three holy clouds. Looking at the completely invulnerable Kalmang in front of them, and then looking at themselves who were covered in wounds, they seemed to understand. They were definitely being tricked. Kafan, hold on for a while, I want to try out the power of my magic flash, Q said, and he flashed into the air and began to accumulate power. Kafan didn't waste any words and nodded decisively. With a tile-splitting move, the head of the land cloud was smashed into the ground, raising layers of dust on the ground. Then one of them grabbed the head of the tornado cloud and slapped it with a series of backhands. The tornado cloud was slapped and couldn't find the east, west, south, and north. As for the thunder cloud, this guy didn't even have the strength to stand up now, and lay on the ground with a decadent face. He looked like he was ready to kill or cut him, and let others slaughter him. "Wait, I have something to say." The land cloud wanted to shout, but Kafan mistakenly thought that this guy was going to fight back, and with a bang, a spiritual blade directly knocked him away. "I'm fine." At this moment, Q suddenly shouted. Kafan hurriedly gave up his position to avoid being accidentally injured. The two guys now have a common problem, that is, some skills that have not been used before. It is difficult to control the power of the skills. To be honest, the elves who have reached the peak of the supreme level will basically not have this situation, but the two of them are exceptions. Their strength is not accumulated slowly from scratch, but suddenly appeared in one fell swoop. This is very helpless. The inability to control power freely is also a problem they cannot avoid. Before facing the entire school of teachers and students of the Magic City Academy, because of fear of accidents, the two Kalmang actually used the skills they were familiar with before. Simply put, Q almost used the simple skill of telekinesis from beginning to end, and did not use any overly complicated moves. Now the situation is different. These three guys are obviously looking for death, so Q will naturally not show mercy. "Come on, baby." Q smiled excitedly and swung a magic flash. "Go straight to the land cloud who just got up from the ground and wanted to surrender." "Oh, will he hit too hard and kill this guy?" Zumu watched the light released by this magic flash, and he could clearly feel that Q didn't hold back at all. In this situation, he couldn't help but worry about these three idiots. After all, even if Wu Jitai could withstand Q's attack, it would be uncomfortable. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and the three holy clouds had no room or opportunity to resist, and were suddenly blown away. After turning a few times in the sky, the three clouds rolled to the ground. Bang, 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 smashed a piece of rubble. Land Cloud struggled to speak, but he didn't expect that his nightmare was not over, but just beginning. Zumu's horror sometimes lies not in his thoughts, but in his Pokémon. For example, when Koga Ninja Charizard abused the unknown totem, Zumu said that as a trainer, he actually did nothing. He just stood there and acted as his tool, and then something happened. What did I, Zumu, do wrong? Anyway, that's how it is. Sometimes you don't say you didn't do it and you didn't do it. Just like now, the unknown totem who just told the three holy clouds to surrender before dying was so lucky. Fortunately, I died quickly, otherwise such a miserable experience might have happened to me. After all, it was the amethyst armor attached to the three holy clouds. When the three of them were beaten, the unknown totem also received some damage. So, he should really be lucky that he died early and didn't have to suffer so much. Kafan's curiosity about the human world, in addition to mobile phones, televisions and other technological items, also includes grappling techniques and military boxing, especially grappling techniques, which are simply Kafan's favorite. He even thinks that if he practices grappling well, he will have a chance to capture the creator, pinch his neck and ask him why he is a replica. In fact, Kafan doesn't know that the creator he is talking about is, to some extent, the alpaca who wanders around and does nothing all day. Of course, he also doesn't know that what he dreams of doing, Zumu can do every day. Isn't it just pinching the creator with your hands? Haha. Zumu said that this is too simple. Among the grappling techniques, Kafan's favorite is the anti-joint technique. This move is simply a killer move. Kafan likes it very much. At this time, he was practicing the technical moves he learned on his mobile phone last night with Sansheng. Do the moves carefully and standardly, and use all the strength in your body muscles to attack your opponent. Every part of the body is a deadly weapon of destruction, which can deal a cruel blow to the enemy. Look at his meticulous appearance, and then listen to the screams of Sansheng. Zumu couldn't bear it. Otherwise, let's give him a quick death. If they continue to torture like this, I'm worried that if they die this time, they may continue to cause trouble. Land Cloud is also miserable. He wants to surrender, but he can't do it. For the sake of his future status, he still wants to negotiate conditions like he used to get along with humans. As a result, He was pressed down by Kefan and K and was beaten up. Now he has figured it out. That is, there is no need to negotiate conditions. Nothing else matters. Now Landcloud is begging Zumu to give him a quick death. Please, don't torture us like this. We are divine beasts after all. Can we have the least dignity? Finally, while Kefan was taking a breath, Landcloud, who finally found an opportunity, shouted, "Hey, stop fighting, I surrender." After shouting this sentence, the air froze for about 3 or 4 seconds. Kefan and K looked at each other and said telepathically, "Have you had enough?" "I haven't." "Then continue." "Did you hear any sound just now?" "I don't know." "Did you hear it?" "Then I didn't." The brief conversation ended, and the two Kalmung smiled knowingly. Continue. Landcloud, who was looking for an opportunity to take a breath and rest, didn't expect that he would be attacked even though he had surrendered unconditionally. Boom. An explosion sounded, and K looked at his empty right hand, puzzled, thinking, is this a half-powerful wave missile? Kefan did the same, pressing Thundercloud and Tornado Cloud to the ground with one hand, thinking over and over again, was this the move in yesterday's video? I always feel like I didn't do it right. It seems the teacher in the video is right. I need to practice more on grappling. Chapter 343, Subjugating the Three Sacred Clouds. So, are you willing to be conquered by me? After the two Mutwa played for more than half an hour, Zumu asked Celebi to heal the three of them. Fortunately, these are all mythical beasts, and they are more resistant to beatings. Otherwise it is hard to say whether they can hold on. Until now, Celebi was exhausted when he was treating the child, and he had never seen such a serious injury. Zumu held the little guy in his arms with heartache, and looked at the three holy clouds calmly. These three guys had committed serious sins before. If possible, Zumu didn't want to forgive them, but there was no need. After all, there was a way to say it, and the past was over. In addition, with their IQ and brains, they really didn't look like the mastermind. It can be regarded as a prodigal son returning. Yes, we are willing to surrender. Zumu, please conquer us. The physical injuries were healed, but the three holy clouds were still hurting in their hearts, as mythical beasts. This is the first time since they were born that they have been beaten so badly without dignity. I almost couldn't survive. To be honest, if Zumu had spoken 1 minute later, if Celebi wasn't here today, there might really be a divine beast beaten to death in the world. Oh, don't you want to talk about some conditions? Zumu wanted to play hard to get. Can we still talk about conditions? Thundercloud asked subconsciously. Landcloud reacted quickly and stopped him at the first time. He covered the mouth of this bastard and hurriedly said, No, not at all. We don't even talk about this topic. Unconditional submission. Zumu nodded in confusion, and then said, Then how did you submit specifically? Landcloud thought about it and hurriedly said, We unconditionally submit to you for life. As long as you are here for 1 day, we, the three Saint Clouds, will serve you unconditionally. Zumu smiled. Didn't you say there were no conditions? I just changed the way I asked the question. And now you start to lay out the terms for me? And you're playing a word trap? Submitting to Zumu for life. What does it mean? It means only submitting to Zumu for a few decades. As soon as Zumu kicked his legs, they went back to their own homes and continued to be cool and carefree, using decades of time to exchange for a lifetime of life. In the eyes of San Xingyun, this business is worth it. As for the latter sentence, it means that they only obey Zumu's orders. If anyone else wants to command them except Zumu, it may not work. This time, Zumu was not happy. You little guy, play a word trap for me. When I was selling cars, houses and insurance, you were still sealed in the pot when I played this. With a cold snort, Zumu's face sank. It's over. At this moment, the whole elf of Landcloud was dumbfounded, and his brain was blank. I didn't expect that Zumu just changed the way of asking, and he revealed all his cards. Isn't this equivalent to the opponent's position, tricking Lazy into a big move plus a flash? Not to mention the loss. What can I use to meet Zumu's next offensive? Embarrassed Landcloud could only scratch his head constantly, trembling with his head down, and dared not speak. There is no other way. At this point, playing dumb is the best choice. Haha. They still have a bit of temper. Kefan, you guys go on. Celebi, Eat something quickly. I may have to trouble you later. Zumu took out a blue-orange fruit, handed it to Celebi in his arms, and then turned and left. At this moment, the three holy clouds really felt like they were falling into an ice cave. No, Zumu, I was wrong. Indeed, Zumu wanted to hear what Tutaiyan was going to say next, but unfortunately, he couldn't hear it. Why? Because Ko and Kafan, who were excited, were like two thugs eager to try. They pressed Tutaiyan's head into the mud on the ground and dragged his legs away. Zumu has spoken. Then can I still hesitate? Just fight them. After all, they are free sandbags. It's a waste not to fight. It will be difficult to find two such tough companions in the future. The two Mutuo who cherished the present almost didn't say any nonsense and directly dragged the three holy clouds away. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully conquering the three holy clouds and resolving the revenge crisis. Host, please choose the Pokémon that will obtain the fighting spirit. Zumu listened to the voice in his mind and didn't care about the three idiots he had just conquered. He told them to follow the flame chicken to get familiar with the surrounding environment and clean up the place that had just been destroyed. Zumu took Greninja and came to a clearing in the distance alone. Frog, we haven't talked like this for a long time. Zumu sat on the grass, blowing the breeze, and spoke slowly. Greninja didn't understand why Zumu suddenly became affectionate, but he still sat down patiently. Cool. Indeed, I have been doing things recently. It seems that I haven't sat with you, my little master, for a long time. It's just the two of us. Greninja may have been infected by the environment. As he talked, he gradually put down his impetuousness and sat down at ease, enjoying the rare peace. Frog, in fact, you have seen now that our future opponents may be even stronger. When the time comes, it seems that you are not strong enough to face those guys. Zumu's words made Greninja silent. He lowered his head, and I don't know what this frog was thinking. Cool. After a long time, Greninja spoke again. Although it is embarrassing to say, I have always been a self-reliant frog. Since I was a child, I hope to become stronger through my own efforts. I have been like this for so many years. But, since the day I met you, my little master, everything seems to have changed. Greninja said, sighing. Cool. I don't know what magical power you have, my little master, that always allows me to learn a lot of things that don't belong to me out of thin air. I simply call this feeling of cheating. Although I don't like this feeling of cheating, I prefer to be down to earth. But, I have thought it through. You are right. Our opponents will be stronger in the future. If I cannot work hard to improve myself now, I will fall behind sooner or later and will not be able to stay with you, my little master. So, for my little master, I decided to continue to accept your mysterious power from the unknown and become stronger. I will try my best to make up for the shame brought by this power that does not belong to me by hard training. My little master, you don't have to worry about me. With that, Greninja stood up. He finally convinced himself and found a suitable reason for himself to accept Zumu's plug-in. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 344, Greninja's Fighting Spirit. In fact, sometimes, people and elves are not much different, and growth happens in such a moment. How to say it? In fact, the moment Koga Greninja left the border and returned to Zumu, he had to choose to grow up and choose to face some things he had never faced. Leave your comfort zone and become Zumu's umbrella. But he didn't expect that Zumu didn't seem to need his protection. Not only that, this little master also frequently gave him all kinds of surprises. This mysterious energy from the unknown always makes him much stronger. In just 1 year, he has surpassed his father's strength. This is really something Koga Greninja never dreamed of. What? You ask if it's cool? Needless to say, of course it's cool. Nonsense. But whether you are panicking or not, you are also panicking. It's not the power you have trained from scratch. How can you not panic if you use it rashly? But the panic mentality, panicking, you get used to it, right? Look at Dragonite and Charizard. they can accept it with peace of mind. Then Koga Ninja said that he can't do it anymore, right? Don't panic. Not only can't, but also have to find a suitable reason to accept it. Okay, the joke is over. Greninja looked at Zumu seriously. There was a special meaning in his eyes. The same is true for Zumu. In fact, companionship is not permanent, but if you can choose, everyone hopes that their best partner can always be with them. Just like Nobita finally lost Daruman, Yagami Taiki finally lost Tegumen, Naruto finally lost Kurama. Zumu didn't want to lose Greninja, his first partner, one day. So, even if the power of the system is unknown, even if Zumu still has no confidence in this mysterious power that overrides everything, then we have to arrange for Greninja. If nothing else, the frog can't fall behind. If this guy is gradually marginalized, then Zumu will really gradually lose this frog who looks like a middle school student but is actually extremely strong. Now many times, in Zumu's battles, or many things he encounters, Greninja can no longer be the key to winning or losing. In this situation, with the frog's strong character, it will take the initiative to leave Zumu sooner or later, no longer occupying the most important position in Zumu's heart. Cool, come on, Zumu. Koga Ninja slowly spoke. He had made up his mind. Zumu nodded. System, arrange for Koga Ninja to awaken the fighting spirit. Ding, received. Elf, Koga Ninja, awakening the fighting spirit. Host, please note that the appearance of the fighting spirit is more of a compensation and extension of the spirit's own character. So, he can indeed give the spirit unlimited possibilities, but he can't make the spirit suddenly become particularly powerful. The system is also smart. I have been following Zumu for so long, and I still don't know what kind of virtue this dog host is. Zumu is so petty that he must be on guard all the time. If I don't explain it clearly in advance, what if Zumu throws the blame? Seeing Koga Ninja and Zumu having a wave of affection, the system said that he couldn't bear it so suddenly. It's not a matter of life and death. Why do you care? What's the matter? I arrange a fighting spirit for you, and you are doing this? What are you doing? What do you think this system is? Is it the final villain? I was too lazy to say more to Zumu. After giving this guy a shot of prevention, the system started to arrange it directly. Koga Ninja suddenly felt a strong energy in the air. The magic of this energy was simply unheard of. This is a type of energy that he has never seen before, and it doesn't even exist in this world. Looking at Zumu in shock, Koga Ninja kept telling himself in his heart that he must keep this secret in his heart. No one can tell. The energy began to flow and slowly entered Koga Ninja's body. At this moment, Koga Ninja seemed to have entered a whole new world. Beside him was the boundless universe, and he was in an illusory galaxy. What's going on? Subconsciously observing the surroundings, Koga Ninja found that Zumu was gone, and there was only him here. In the misty universe, countless planets of all sizes are arranged in an intricate manner around Greninja. He couldn't help but reach out and gently test it. Boom! A huge roar sounded, and the planet touched by Greninja exploded. The explosion began to spread, like a bomb, and the planets exploded one after another. Boom boom boom. Greninja's eardrums were hurt by the shock. Just as he was confused, a water blue planet suddenly appeared in front of him. The fighting spirit awakened. The moment the water blue planet collided with Greninja, Greninja only felt that a unique line appeared in his mind. It was like an evolutionary diagram, clearly telling Greninja, Bronze Saint, Draco, Gold Saint, Aquarius, God's Domain, Poseidon. This diagram is a standard evolutionary route from weak to strong, and it was placed in front of Greninja. Without giving Greninja any time to think, the scene in front of him changed rapidly, and a giant Saiyan dragon suddenly appeared. This dragon is not an ordinary lizard like Western dragon, but a pure Chinese dragon. The Azure dragon is huge, with its body coiled, and slowly opens its scarlet eyes in the air. A dragon roar. The Azure dragon suddenly took action, and saw it rushing into the sky with an unstoppable posture, like a huge fist, with incomparable power. Koga Ninja was stunned. This move has some impression in his mind. It seems to be called something. Lushan Shenglongba. Little guy, in your heart, there is no resentment or gratitude, but a spirit called protection. Looking at you, You are indeed suitable to inherit our Saint Ce lineage, and all this is handed over to you. Remember, the Lushan Long but just now is just a move. Your real power lies in your heart. Your heart is full of protection and has infinite motivation. This is your little universe. In times of crisis, don't expect anyone. As long as you believe in yourself and your little universe, you can protect everyone you want to keep. The vicissitudes of life, in an indescribable obscure language, passed into the heart of Koga Ninja. But Koga Ninja still understood, slowly nodded, bowed and thanked. From today on, the Genin frog will become a Saint Ce frog, but the mission remains unchanged, still to protect Zumu and his little master, for a lifetime. Chapter 345, Saint Ce Fighting Spirit. Saint Ce is a magical profession. Ha! They have been loyal to a goddess with zero combat power for their entire lives, and they have become true gods to protect this goddess, and they have to fight even if they die. Among this group of people, there has been a very interesting saying. That is, the same move will not work on me the second time. In short, this is a group of immortal cockroaches that exist for protection, and the situation of Koga Ninja is actually very suitable for them. Naturally, he became a glorious fighter who is loyal to Zumu. This is the fighting spirit given to him by the system. The power of the Saint Ce comes from their corresponding constellations, which are commonly known as the small universe. The universe is infinite, and they also firmly believe that their power is infinite, so when they can't beat their opponents, they will shout, "I believe in my small universe." Then they can turn the tide and live towards the sun. In other words, the system really does what it says and gives Koga Ninja endless potential. But how much this potential can be exerted depends on how deep the bond between Koga Ninja and Zumu is. If one day, facing an extremely powerful opponent, perhaps Greninja can really shout, "I believe in my little universe," then protect Zumu and defeat the opponent. Everything is possible. How is it? Greninja, Zumu, of course, received the system's prompt. But seeing Greninja slowly open his eyes and absorb all the special abilities in the air before into his body, he hurried forward to ask. "Cool, very good." Greninja gave a thumbs up. Sure enough, the feeling of opening the door is really extraordinary. This is really a little comfortable. Thinking back to the move just now, Lushan Longwa, Greninja can't wait to show it now. "Okay, it's good that you're okay." Zumu was relieved when he saw this, and nodded with relief. He didn't expect that Greninja's fighting spirit had nothing to do with ninjas, but was mainly about protection. But this is also common sense. After all, although this frog guy looks a little floating and unreliable, but when something really happens, he is definitely quite reliable. There was no danger. No, there was no danger, and the awakening of the fighting spirit ended peacefully. Zumu also took Greninja home. It was at this time that he remembered. Damn it, where is my home? Looking at the ruins in front of him and the ruins of his Aunt Sirona's villas, Zumu was dumbfounded. Damn the unknown totem, damn the three sacred clouds. Zumu was about to get angry, but suddenly he remembered that this seemed to be a dormitory arranged by the school. In this case, it seems that Zumu does not need to bear this loss himself. This works. Taking back the grass radical in his mouth, Zumu quickly changed his face, took out the phone and called Lilun. "Hello, Dean, I have something to tell you." When Lilun received Zumu's call, his first reaction was to pinch his philtrum. This kid called at this time, it must be bad. They are all brothers, who doesn't know what's wrong with whom. "Hello, hello, what did you say?" "My signal is not very good. You speak first." "I can't hear you clearly." Having made up his mind, Lilun decided to play a joke with Zumu and see what this kid's purpose was before speaking. Zumu was stunned. He didn't expect Lilun to be so afraid of him now. If he wasn't worried that he could go to his house to find him if he didn't answer the phone, would this guy not be able to answer the phone? Nothing. I just conquered the previous Sancheng, and I was thinking of asking if the college needs to do some research or something. Forget it, Dean. Since your signal is not good, I will send it to my aunt's Xianyang College, Zumu said, and hung up the phone directly. It was quite refreshing, almost without any hesitation. When he hung up the phone, Lilun was still suspicious, but now he was anxious. At first, he really thought Zumu was lying to him, But when he saw that this kid seemed to be angry, he hung up the phone directly. He immediately regretted it and hurriedly called again. Putting on a smiling face, Li Lun said again, "Hey, are you done now, classmate Zoom? I was in the toilet just now, and the signal was not very good. Didn't I come out immediately after receiving your call? Why, I heard you say just now that you have conquered the 3 sacred clouds and are willing to make some of their information public to our college, right?" Speaking of being shameless, Li Lun is definitely the best. What's the use of face, as long as it can gain benefits, in the eyes of scholars? Face is not as good as waste paper, and words can't be written on it. What's the use? Zoom smiled. "I know you are greedy. Did you take the bait? You are pretending with me? Oh, Dean Li, are you in the toilet? I am so embarrassed. So this is still a smelly call. Why don't you continue? I'll ask my aunt first," Zoom said, preparing to hang up again. Li Lun stopped pretending and said, Don't hang up the phone in a hurry, Zoom. Look, let's say what you want. What Xianyang College can give you is the same as what our Magic City College can give you. Besides, Magic City College is your college. We don't want to let outsiders have access to our wealth, right? Li Lun hurriedly began to speak well of them. Although the 3 holy clouds had appeared before, they had always lived in a secret realm and had little contact with humans. Naturally, some of their detailed information was blank on the human side. If the detailed information of the 3 holy clouds could be accurately studied and verified, and then published to the public, that would be great. It's like Dr. Oak in the elf world also wants to study the mythical beasts. This kind of thing of being the first to try something new is simply a matter of opening your hand, and whoever does it will become famous. In Zoom's current situation, he was about to throw an opportunity to become famous to Xianyang College and take it out of Li Lun's hands. This won't do. Zoom is now in the Magic City College. How can he let the duck fly away? Zoom licked his lips. He said meaningfully, "Dean, you also know that the 3 holy clouds are very strong. It took me a lot of effort to defeat them. It is inevitable that there will be some losses to subdue the 3 of them this time. Look at this." Before Zoom finished speaking, Li Lun spoke up to answer immediately. "Let our college handle the losses. You are working for our college. We can't let you, Zoom, suffer any grievances, right? No matter how much the loss is, our college will compensate you in full. What do you think?" Chapter 346, Greninja's sparring partner. "It's not a big loss, it's just that my house is broken. I need to find someone to repair it for me." Looking at the dilapidated house not far away, Zoom said again, "Let's rebuild it. By the way, build me a bigger battlefield, so that we can practice together." Li Lun hurriedly agreed after hearing this. He is usually very stingy, but when it comes to honor, that is, face, he is still very generous. For example, now, it doesn't matter how much money is spent to Li Lun, as long as Zoom is willing to lend the 3 sacred clouds to the Academy for research, everything will be fine. Even if he doesn't lend it, as long as Zoom can bring the name of the Magic City Academy when publishing professional papers, that's enough. "Okay, no problem. In an hour, a student majoring in architecture will come to repair your house for you." The architecture major is considered a major in the Life Academy. After all, not everyone is suitable to be a trainer, and many students will choose reality after discovering that their talents are ordinary and far from the so-called geniuses. Do some work that can support their families. Things like saving the world can be left to the big guys. As a younger brother, you should just live your life more clearly. As for the rest, it's none of your business. If the sky falls, there will be someone taller to hold it up. It's not a big problem. After hanging up Li Lun's phone, Zoom's mood improved a little. But thinking about Chiron coming back from evening self-study, will she be unhappy if she finds that the house is destroyed? Zoom hurriedly booked a super awesome hotel, the kind that includes food and accommodation. It just so happens that today is the 391st day of knowing Chiron, so let's treat it as an anniversary. This is perfect. I'm really a genius, Zoom boasted to himself proudly, and when he turned around, he saw the 3 faces of San Shengyun who were decadent. Half of his good mood disappeared instantly. In fact, to be fair, Zoom really doesn't lack the 3 guys of San Shengyun. Their strength is just so-so. Rarity. Hee. Can it be compared with Wujitana? Or can it catch up with Arceus by half? No. Then why do you want to conquer them? Zumu thought about it, and he couldn't explain it clearly. Maybe it was really too much pressure to save the world. Now Zumu is also thinking about making himself stronger, or making the world stronger all the time. Just think of it as a sparring partner for Greninja. Thinking of Greninja who has just learned a new skill but has no place to practice, Zumu had an idea. This can still be recycled, although they are not very useful now. Just 3 people eating dry rice. But it does not mean that it cannot be recycled. It just so happens that Greninja is now idle day by day, and it is difficult to find a suitable opponent. And Flame Chicken, let's go together. Let's all practice. We are idle anyway. Such a good free sparring partner. It's a waste if we don't use it. It's just a little bit of Fisher Rabbi. Zumu touched Celebi's head distressedly. The little guy will have a hard time in the future. Rabbi, it's okay, Zumu. Celebi also wants to help you. Celebi said that it was not a big problem, and she has been with Zumu for so long. It can be regarded as barely passing the infancy period, and now the strength is also beginning to steadily increase. It just so happens that this treatment work can also help her. Okay, thank you for your hard work, Zumu said, releasing the Flame Chicken. Greninja, Blaziken, from today on, you two will lead the 3 of them. We'll provide food and lodging for them. They just need to fight with you too. Fight to the death. As long as you can't kill them, Celebi can save them. After Zumu said this, Sansheng-yun was dumbfounded. What happened? The 3 of us are all divine beasts after all, so you don't give us any face. We provide food and lodging. Do you think we are migrant workers? However, although he was a little upset, he thought of Kikun and Kefan. Sansheng-yun decided to shut up. K's personality is a little calmer, maybe because he came from the elf world, lived longer, and his mentality is calmer. But Kefan is different. This guy is very violent. If there is a disagreement, just don't say it, and if you can fight, you will never quarrel. The point is that the 2 of them look almost exactly the same, and Sansheng-yun can't tell which is which, so as long as Muto is around, the 3 of them were absolutely obedient. No, that's not right. It should be that the 3 of them didn't even dare to have any negative emotions. After all, Muto's perception was so sensitive that everyone knew it. Grandson, how are you doing recently? After finishing everything and checking into the hotel with Shirona, Zumu lay on the bed and prepared to rest. Liu-Yang's phone suddenly called. I'm fine. What's wrong, Grandpa? Zumu saw that the old man suddenly contacted him and felt that there must be something wrong, so he asked directly. Shirona had just fallen asleep, and she was too tired at this time. It's not that kind of tired, but tired from a day of military training. The young couple is still very pure now. Those who have wrong thoughts should go out and face the wall for 10 minutes and come back! Zumu got up quietly and tiptoed to the bathroom, fearing that he would wake up his big baby. Oh, I really have something to do. Liu-Yang was not polite. Speaking of which, there is nothing to hide. If you call in the middle of the night, can it be a reminiscence? Grandpa, what's wrong? Liu-Yang paused for a moment, perhaps a little embarrassed to speak. Zumu asked directly. Well, there's bad news. Don't worry, there was an accident with your father. After he said this, Zumu was stunned. What about my mother? Zumu asked this question without any sense of disobedience. Liu-Yang was not surprised by this, and hurriedly said, Zio is fine. The little calf knew that something was wrong and asked your Dragonite to send Zio out as soon as possible. But he sighed. Zumu was relieved to hear that his mother was fine. Then, he was a little puzzled. It shouldn't be. Zumu left the 6 divine birds and several of his own elves at the border, fearing that Zufeng would suffer. How could something go wrong? Grandpa, what's the situation? Please tell me quickly. Zumu asked anxiously. Liu-Yang realized that he had been talking for a long time, which was equivalent to listening to the king's words. He didn't say anything meaningful, just told Zumu that his mother was fine, and didn't say anything else. It's like this, for some reason, the border was temporarily blocked. According to Zio, this is the protection mechanism of the secret realm. The combat power invested by both sides is too strong, and the secret realm can no longer support it. Chapter 347, Fire-breathing dragon emerges from the mountain. Zumu was confused. The secret realm couldn't hold on? What's that? If it couldn't hold on, then just destroy it? It wasn't the first time that the secret realm was destroyed, so why did it let the secret realm stay inside? This old man was really annoying. He had nothing to do every day, and he was worrying. Can't it be destroyed? Zumu asked. Liuyang knew that Zumu's first reaction would be this, and hurriedly said, if it could, would it be necessary? The border is a barrier and buffer zone between us and the world over there. Although we can't enter the world across the border for the time being, we can rely on the border for defense. If there is no secret realm of the border, then we are equivalent to directly placing our bodies defenseless in front of the opponent. Then the rockets and other evil organizations can attack us however they want. Liuyang's explanation was reasonable. Zumu sighed with regret. It was almost there. It was almost possible to set off fireworks again. Okay, then I know. What should I do, Grandpa? Zumu thought about it. Since Liuyang called him, he must need to do something. If it's just a simple notification, wouldn't it be fine to wait for my mother to tell me? No, I'll let Kuei-long take a break and come to find you. We've been keeping an eye on the border and will notify you in time if there is any news. Just tell you in advance so that you don't worry when others tell you. There's nothing wrong in the secret realm. Your 6 sacred birds are still there, and Xiaofeng is not an idiot. It should be able to hold on for a while. Liuyang explained earnestly, and Zumu nodded slowly. If it's according to what Grandpa said, he really can't help much. All he can do is to blast the secret realm open. But to be honest, simply destroying the secret realm is meaningless, right? Okay, then I'll leave it to you, Grandpa. Although Zumu was still a little worried about this unreliable old father, since his mother was fine, he could still accept it. Stinky boy, what dirty talk are you talking about? What's the matter with a family member asking for help? Okay, I'll hang up first. Kuei-long will come to find you tomorrow. After saying that, Liuyang hung up the phone. Early the next morning, Zumu sent Shirona to the playground for military training. Then he came to the outskirts of the Magic City and waited for Dragonite. Zumu, I'm back, Dragonite excitedly roared in the air from a distance. The fat body swayed in the sky, and the little hands waved, which made Zumu break his defense. You guy, you're still the same. When Dragonite came to him, Zumu stopped smiling and patted him on the back. What else would I look like? With his head tilted lively, Dragonite took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Liuyang. Here we are, safely arrived. Zumu looked at Dragonite, who was flexibly using his mobile phone to type, and was stunned for a few seconds. That's right, this is a top student dragon. If you can't even use a mobile phone, what kind of top student is it? It's just that I haven't seen an elf using a mobile phone around me for a long time, and Zumu is a little uncomfortable, especially the fat guy, who is still serious. It's very funny. Ding. Congratulations to the host. Charizard has completed the inheritance of Zerong and awakened successfully. The system suddenly popped up in his mind. Zumu couldn't help but smile when he heard the news. Well, are they all coming back? Dragonite, it's just right that you're back. Come with me. What are you going to do? Dragonite asked. He had just arrived in the Magic City, and he had to go again. Pick up old Charizard out of the mountain. These 5 words, Zumu said it so movingly. Charizard, this guy is Zumu's true initial Pokémon. After all, Greninja is a king-level boss. He was not with Zumu since he was a child, and he grew up in the border. But Charizard is different. This guy was raised by Zumu since he was a child. Speaking of which, I haven't seen this young Charizard for a long time, and there have been fewer happy things recently. Old Charizard? Red Lizard. Dragonite also reacted. Since he was going to pick up old Charizard, he might as well go for a trip. It's a good opportunity to see how much this guy's strength has changed after not coming out for so long. Charizard Valley. The deepest part of the valley. Charizard roared. In the magma, his eyes suddenly opened. With supreme majesty, Charizard soared into the sky from the magma and flew high. Sparks and lava fragments in the sky circled around Charizard, reflecting him like a fire god. Not far away, Bulbasaur and Snorlax looked up and looked at Charizard's awesome scene with envy. Bulbasaur, this guy, after coming out of seclusion this time, he should be even stronger. Snorlax, he was already very strong. And now he's even stronger. The main thing is that he's strong and cowardly. Who can stand it? You and I were talking back and forth, and the two elves who had been guarding Charizard for a month had successfully completed their mission. At this time, they were enjoying the joy of the successful awakening of the inheritance with Charizard. And here, they are not the only three of them. In addition to the three outsiders, there are more natives of the Charizard Valley. That is, the Charizards, including the scarred Charizard that had fought with Zoomu before, and those female Charizards that were disfigured by Greninja. Roar! Has this guy reached this point now? The scarred Charizard stared at Zoomu's Charizard flying in the air in a daze. The flame elements of the entire Charizard Valley are around him, rising and falling with the Charizard's every move. At this moment, the Charizard is the master of fire here, the king truly recognized by this secret realm. Except for those powerful Charizards who still have the courage to look up at this time, the weak Charizards and Charmanders have already knelt on the ground in submission. The dimensionality reduction attack of the strong on the weak is like this. Roar! The Charizard roared to the sky. A jet of flame shot out and rushed straight into the sky. Roar! I'm out of the mountain, ha ha ha. Feeling the endless energy in his body, Charizard was excited and ecstatic. You bastard, watch out. You almost sprayed me. Just when he was about to continue to be arrogant, a familiar voice suddenly rang out. Roar? Fuck you. Zoomu, are you here to pick me up? Ha 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 ha. After a brief surprise, Charizard flew over directly, pulled Zoomu away from Dragonite's back with a bear hug, and brought him into his arms. Hey, watch out. What's this posture? A princess hug? Charizard, put you down. How can this be? Chapter 348 Alan and the Fire-Breathing Dragon. What is the protagonist? That is the essence of a novel. When the protagonist needs a villain, there will be a villain to give him a head. When the protagonist needs someone to set off his awesomeness, there will be someone to set off his awesomeness. For example now, Alan looked at his Charizard in confusion. Are you sure there is the opponent you want here? In front of him was a desert, which seemed to be empty and barren. It's no wonder that Alan was confused. Charizard himself was also confused. I'm not sure. Swish. At the moment when the man and the pet looked at each other in confusion, the transmission channel appeared. The sudden dizziness made the man and the pet all confused. After being confused, they were at a loss. The previous Gobi disappeared, and in its place, there was a huge group of volcanoes. Alan is a small role in the Elf Z series. He used to fight Charizard X and was inseparable from the stupid thing. At this time, such a player who was inseparable from the stupid thing came to an unknown world in a daze. Roar! Alan's Charizard suddenly roared. This time it was right. He could clearly sense that the strong man of the same race was nearby. Charizard, seeing his elf rushing out as if it had been cursed, Alan roared and hurried to catch up. Just like the champion player of the Tamer series, he was taken to another world by his Digimon and couldn't go back home. The same was true for Alan at this time. Facing everything unfamiliar in front of him, Alan was really a little scared, but there was no way. He couldn't abandon Charizard, so he could only grit his teeth and follow. Zoomu was reminiscing about the past with Charizard, and forcibly broke free from Charizard's arms, canceling the princess hug posture. Then he saw another Charizard suddenly appear in the air, opening its mouth and spraying flames, heading straight for his old one. Fuck, Charizard, be careful. Zoomu only had time to shout. Charizard sensed the danger and threw Zoomu out of his arms at the first time. He only had time to make this move before he was swallowed by the spray of flames. Fortunately, Dragonite was nearby and caught Zoomu, thus avoiding the famous scene where a protagonist's life was scattered in midair. Ouch. What's going on? Fuck, what's going on? Roar, what's going on? Both dragons asked at the same time. Although Lao Pen was attacked by the sudden appearance of the fire-breathing dragon, he did not suffer any obvious injuries. Nonsense. Magma is not a problem, so how can he be afraid of fire? If he was really destroyed by such a fire, why did the system come up with the Zerong inheritance? Are you kidding? Roar, come and fight, strong man. The guy who suddenly attacked was Island's fire-breathing dragon. Seeing that Lao Pen was fine, he immediately issued a battle invitation. His previous fire breathing was actually a demonstration to show his strength. It was not a real sneak attack. If he really wanted to sneak attack, he would not have run to be discovered by Zoomu. This can also be regarded as a kind of etiquette and formality between fire-breathing dragons. Take a bite when you meet to prove your strength. Roar, are you sick, Lao Peng? I'll call it that for the sake of distinction in these two chapters, roared at Island's Charizard, his eyebrows twisted together with anger. Don't you know how dangerous this is? My trainer is still in my hands. Lao Peng was not angry because of his voice, but mainly because of the provocation of this Charizard, which was too bad. What if he didn't react just now and Zoomu was also sprayed? The consequences would be too serious. Roar, I was wrong. I just want to fight with you. Island's Charizard also has a tutor, and just now he was too excited to see the long-awaited opponent. Seeing Lao Peng angry and showing off his strength to Zoomu, he also apologized quickly. Roar, okay, I admit my mistake. Stop talking nonsense. Let's start the battle. Island's Charizard roared excitedly with his fists clenched, and he was about to lose control of himself. I'm sorry, my Charizard seems to have caused you trouble. Fortunately, just before Lao Peng was about to lose his temper, Island arrived. Although this guy is crazy, he still knows how to be polite. After arriving at the scene, he hurriedly bowed his head to apologize to Zoomu. There is nothing to misunderstand. The facts are in front of us. Like some more guide articles, it is really unnecessary to rather die than admit mistakes and pretend to be cool even if it means risking your life. When you go out, face is worthless, and everyone knows this truth. It's okay, your Charizard seems to want to challenge my old Charizard. If it's convenient, we can agree to it. Zoomu smiled gently and said humbly, those who understand will understand that Zoomu is definitely holding a grudge at this moment. In fact, it's not just the old Charizard who is unhappy. Zoomu himself, who was just startled, is also very unhappy. Originally thought it was just an ordinary Charizard, Zoomu wanted to let the old Charizard teach him a lesson. But, since this guy has an owner, it's better to follow the formal procedures. After all, what makes people more complicated than elves is the rules. If humans don't have rules, they can be as unrestrained as elves and go to the toilet whenever they want. If you don't want to wear clothes, then don't wear clothes. That's simply too eye-catching. Okay. Seeing that Zoomu was not angry, Island agreed to the battle in a friendly way. He nodded immediately, full of fighting spirit. It was at this time that Zoomu recognized that this guy was not Island. How did he run into the secret realm of the fire-breathing Dragon Valley? What's going on? Why didn't the system prompt me? Ding. Please don't misunderstand the host. Island's situation is different from those normal lost protagonists. He ran out by himself. Zoomu was stunned. He ran out by himself? What's the matter? Isn't the elf world dangerous enough now? Why do you have to run out to die? Okay, old spray, prepare for battle. Let me see what you have gained this time. Zoomu shook his head, too lazy to think about how Island ran out by himself. It's more important to vent your anger first. He was almost sprayed for no reason. Who can tolerate it? Anyway, who can tolerate it? Zoomu can't tolerate it. The old Charizard, who knew Zoomu's temper well, knew that this guy was holding a grudge again when Zoomu showed that humble and gentle smile. Without further ado, he landed in front of Zoomu decisively. Roar. Long time no see, Zoomu. With a long sigh, Charizard was ready for battle. Zoomu nodded. Yeah, it's been a while since we fought side by side. You can't be a wimp this time, because I'm going to be serious. Zoomu emphasized the three words wimpy and serious. Charizard nodded quickly. Don't worry, I won't let you down this time no matter what I say. Chapter 349, Change the World to Seek Torture. Charizard, prepare for battle. Island, who looked innocent, was still shouting. He was so stupid that he actually thought this was an ordinary battle. A trace of ironic smile flashed across the corner of the old man's mouth. Haha. Younger. Roar. Here it comes. Island's Charizard is as young as Island. With a roar of blood boiling, Island's Charizard began to gather fighting spirit, and a red halo slowly lit up on his body. This is fierce fire. but it is different from the fierce fire characteristic. Normal fierce fire can make the elves exert stronger power when they are on the verge of death, but Island's Charizard is a bit awesome. It can have fierce fire at full blood. Coupled with the hidden characteristic of solar power, the combination of dual characteristics makes Island's Charizard equivalent to a double strengthening effect at the beginning of the battle. Sure enough, none of the guys who can become strong are simple. Zoomu shook his head with emotion. Since the opponent has shown it, let's not be polite. It seems that everyone can do some tricks. When Lao Pen heard Zoomu's words, he remained silent, standing still as steady as an old dog, and began to accumulate strength quietly. The idiot who started yelling as soon as he came up was like a cerebral palsy, and it was obvious that he had not been beaten enough. You have lacked social education since childhood. You are lucky that you have never encountered my frog in your childhood. Looking at the fire-breathing dragon opposite with contempt, Lao Pen's body also began to glow. Who can't glow? As the light flickered, the surroundings of Lao Pen began to continuously absorb fire energy and magma in the volcano. Then, the magma and fire energy mixed and began to solidify. Finally, a virtual layer of lava armor was formed on Lao Pen's body. Roar, flame dragon armor. Giving this new feature a cool name, the fire-breathing dragon looked back at Zoomu proudly and raised his eyebrows. Puff. Little did he know that this flame dragon armor directly hit Zoomu's funny spot. Old Pen, let's change the name of this feature? Zoomu asked with a smile bent over. Old Pen was puzzled and scratched his head, a little confused. Why change the name? I think it's good. Flame dragon armor. How cool. Charizard, Mega Evolution. Island saw that the opposite Charizard made a lava armor, which seemed to be more awesome than his own Charizard. He immediately said, no more competition. Since the special effects are not as good as others, just evolve. Oh, don't play anymore? Zoomu saw that the opponent evolved directly without even probing, and couldn't help but feel a little bored. Old Pen, will your armor still exist after evolution? Old Pen nodded. This armor is different from normal characteristics and will not disappear with evolution, just like his water storage. It is not gone when it is gone, ours is always there. Okay, then let's evolve too. Zoomu thought about it and definitely let Old Pen evolve, lest it capsize in the gutter. In fact, even if he didn't say it, Charizard was ready to evolve. Just kidding, Yongshin didn't say it for nothing. For an elf with this personality, if he doesn't go all out in a fight, it's simply a waste of life. Roar, roar. Seeing the opposite Charizard evolving while roaring and shouting, Lao Pen was too lazy to despise it. That's it? Still challenging me? Don't you know how to be low-key? Being low-key is the kingly way. You are roaring and shouting like a primary school student. Don't say you are a Charizard when you go out in the future. It's really embarrassing for our Charizard clan. After completing the evolution silently, Lao Pen decided to teach this noisy little brother a lesson. What's the matter? If you are so unstable, you will suffer in the future. Since you will suffer sooner or later, you might as well suffer from me. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Lao's mouth, and gradually, the demeanor of a big boss began to emerge. Spray flames. Spray flames. Zoomu and Ilan ordered at the same time. Old Pentium and Charizard attacked at the same time. In terms of time, even if Zoomu used telepathy, he still didn't have much advantage. After all, the opponent was also a player who could Mega Evolve, so Zoomu was not surprised to have this tacit understanding. However, in terms of strength, the gap was a bit big. When the jet flames of the two Charizards collided with each other, Ilan was dumbfounded. What the hell? Can flames devour flames? Does your Charizard's jet flame have the property of igniting fire? Get out of the way. Seeing that Old Pentium's attack swallowed up his own Charizard's attack and rushed over madly, Ilan hurriedly ordered to use the magic skills. Get out of the way. In the Pokemon world, there are 3 magic skills. Get out of the way quickly, stand up, and don't stop. It seems that some ghost thing has come in. Old Pentium? The opponent seems to be a little bit bad. This collision of special moves is a test process between the two trainers, and also an understanding of each Pokemon's strength. Roar. It's true that it's a bit bad, but you have to go all out, Charizard said, and took off directly. After circling in the air, it found an excellent position. You are right. It is more reasonable to go all out. I haven't heard this sentence for a long time. Zoom sighed and guessed what Lao Pen meant. Ilan and Charizard were still feeling lucky that they had just dodged the opponent's attack, and were also shocked by the power of Lao Pen's casual attack. They didn't notice that Lao Pen was ready to end the battle. Everyone is Charizard X, and they all look handsome, but in terms of strength, the gap between the two sides may be a bit big. Charizard, Evil Flame Dragon. Zoom waved his hand and directly ordered Lao Pen to use his ultimate move. The flame energy in the air began to gather around Lao Pen again. This flame dragon armor has not had time to test its power, but the battle is about to end. What a pity. It seems that I can only go back and let the 3 holy trainings help me try. Zoom helplessly despised the opponent's strength. He was not even worthy of being Lao Pen's punching bag, so he came to pretend. The elf world is really too safe. I have never seen what it means to be evil in human hearts. Roar! Charizard couldn't help it this time and shouted suddenly. His sudden shout just scared Ilan's Charizard. He was originally preparing to deal with the black and purple attack of Lao Pen, and his mind was not on Lao Pen. Unexpectedly, Charizard suddenly roared after releasing the evil flame dragon. Who can bear this? Charizard was scared on the spot. This directly led to him having no other energy to avoid the evil flame dragon, and was hit head-on by Lao Pen's move. Boom! Explosions sounded one after another. After being hit by the evil flame dragon's skill that was enough to kill the opponent in seconds, Lao Pen didn't relax at all, and continued to attack with a series of finishing blows. This is the real all-out effort. Little brother, you are the only one who wants to be abused in another world. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.